what was the timestamp for this? Apparently, Pisco talked to Conduit at 5 hours something. Who linked this in here? Okay, somebody gave me the timestamp. Somebody had it. Somebody linked this in chat earlier. We'll catch up on TTS.
Stephen, your attacks against Keith are clearly bad faith. Can a white boy not get possessed by the spirit of Hugo Chavez and nationalize a little oil anymore? Yes or no?
Is there a way to know exactly where
Hey,
a pipe is
Steven,
overextended?
I heard you guys have some problems with commies in your country. Let me show you how we deal with them in our glorious Ukraine.
Okay. Oh, 5:34:56.
But I was just wondering if you took a look at my Twitter thread.
Yeah, I did.
And if you had any thoughts on it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are
Apparently, Josiah has now blocked Conduit on Twitter.
things I don't agree that they do. I don't think they convince me that these people hate Jews or dislike Jews on the basis of their Judaism. But we can talk about it. Why?
I mean, we had a whole big conversation about that. Like, it wasn't necessarily about them explicitly hating Jews. It was about whether or not their actions, like, when taken in the
Contribute to it?
aggregate, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's possible as an effect of their actions that anti-Semitism increases. I'm willing to grant that.
I guess in that case, like, if you recognize that that's something that is happening,
Well, no, I'm saying that.
how do you feel about that?
No, I'm not like.
He's saying it's
I'm not
possible,
saying that
not
it
that
is
it's happening.
I'm saying
here.
that's plausible to me. I don't know. It's the same
What
kind of.
is the
It's the
substantive
same kind of
difference between
deal.
those two kinds of perspectives?
Yeah. So my intuition. We can go off vibes if you want. This is the same thing with North, right? This is an empirical question, isn't it?
I mean, sort of. There's no real way to judge this in any sort of like empirical way, because that would require being able to detect a measurable difference of people who.
I don't think Pisco meant empirical. He meant, like, is there like an objective test or something that we can apply here? And then you're asking objectively if they've met like the conditions for it to be. Blah, 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 blah.
Watch Breaking Points and Kyle, and I don't think you're ever going to be able to actually get those numbers. It just comes down to
Well,
what
then-
your perspective is on it.
Yeah. So then why should you're basically suggesting that it's impossible to like reasonably prove the point of the instrumental effect on anti-Semitism. I don't know if that's true. Why is it impossible to detect that?
I think it's in the way you just described it. Like, you're saying that there's no reasonable way to figure it out, and I'm saying that your intuition should be able to drive home like what the knock-on effects of this kind of discourse is. So I think that if, say, you spend all of your time talking about how MAGA is bad to someone who doesn't know anything about MAGA, they're going to come away just thinking, regardless of what the actual reality of the situation might be, that MAGA is bad. So
Yeah.
if they're
So
doing
here's
something
can I
like
explain
that
why
with
my
a-
intuition? My intuition is that focusing on Israel has, as a part of its instrumental effect, an increase in anti-Semitism. Probably.
Well, it's not
That's
just
my
about
intuition.
a focus on Israel specifically. It's about the way that they cover how, like, Israel affects U.S. politics.
There's also one annoying thing. Conduit is never winning this argument against Pisco because Pisco is dug in and will never backtrack. This is way too important to like the leftist stuff theology that like Israel is evil. One of the things that makes this so weird, though, even if you want to criticize Israel, people keep asking like, well, can't you criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic? One of the weird things about Israel, I don't know if I've ever in my life heard somebody make this argument before about any country. It's the idea that, and they've gone this far, where we're way past just criticizing Israel. It's committing to this idea over and over and over again that it's not just Israel, it's the majority of Israeli citizens. It's the majority of all of them have to serve in the IDF. Like, it's doing every single thing you can to conflate and combine Israel with IDF with Israeli citizen with average Israeli citizen. So it's whatever bad thing you say about Israel, or I mean, like the most extreme and obviously hilariously hyperbolic example of this, I say hyperbolic, but it was true, he made this argument, is the baby settler argument, right? There are settlers that are occupiers, and all occupiers can be killed, according to the UN. That's not true, but that's what they say. Therefore, you could kill baby Jews in Israel and it would be okay to do so. And all of the arguments you're making only apply to Jews in Israel, remember, because they constantly argue that it's an apartheid state and there's not real representation for Arabs there at all. So it only applies to the Jewish people in Israel. And it's the only Jewish country on the planet. So it's just like, I mean, like, what are we doing here? It's such a wacky joke of an argument to try to pretend like you're separating these two things out when the other side does every single thing they can to conflate the two at every possible turn.
Yeah.
So there are second order effects to that where it's not just literally.
I think that
both. I
think both covering Israel's actions and the way in which Israel affects American policy will have as an instrumental effect, again, intuition, my vibe, increase in anti-Semitism.
Yeah, because it's not like just the fact that they're covering Israel and they're covering Israel in a negative way that might lead people to like an assumption of negativity towards Jews because of their relation to Israel. It's the way that they also promote people who like.
I don't have the specification on that, but my vibe isn't that specific.
It's like part of what I was listing in my thread was the fact that they promote people like Professor Jiang and John Mearsheimer who say things that are just factually wrong. Like there's no other way to describe it except they're anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Professor Jiang is literally a Holocaust denier. Don't know how you can take away that like you can't reasonably.
What are you assessing there?
A sense of anti-Semitism from what? What do you mean? What am I assessing there?
So, are you asking me whether I think Professor Young is anti-Semitic?
I'm asking you whether you think platforming someone who is a Holocaust denier, who has literally said he does not believe things about the Holocaust to be true, is in effect platforming anti-Semitism and therefore making you anti-Semitic yourself for being willing to, for being willing to like put up with it.
Yeah. So my vibe is that uncritically platforming an anti-Semite, that there's a decent chance that it might spread ideas or his prominence such that people, go there and are like, for example, uncritically platforming Myron Gaines or something, or uncritically platforming.
I don't know
Fuentes,
if you're doing
perhaps.
it on purpose. I think that you're trying to be like very deliberate with your language here, but I think you are minimizing what the impact of this kind of stuff is because Professor Jiang's like first introduction onto breaking points is what made him like go so viral that he managed to get interviews in a lot of other places and spread his influence in a way that brings along those anti-Semitic views.
So I was seeing Professor Young before breaking points going around. Maybe you're right about the causality there and the timetable.
He definitely had to exist before it to get onto it. I'm just saying.
No, I was seeing him his
breaking
shit being
points is like what made him like get a lot more viral awareness.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. Maybe that's true. Maybe I'm fine to grant that platforming him. My vibe is that it may have the instrumental effect of increasing anti-Semitism.
Could, maybe.
Especially if it's done so uncritically. Which I take issue with their interview of him. I thought it was a bad interview and far too deferential.
I can appreciate.
It's crazy that like when people do bad things, there's this, I don't know how to describe this thing, but there's a way that you can do a bad thing and somebody says it was a bad thing, but it doesn't like count against your character. And then there are other ways where people can do a bad thing and it counts against your character, right? So like people play this game a lot with Trump. Yeah, Trump did that and I disagree with that. I thought that was bad, but it doesn't make Trump bad. And it doesn't even like give him fewer good boy points. It just, it was a bad thing. It's like somehow they externalize the action from the actor and it doesn't count against them at all. I noticed like the kind of the lefty squad does this a lot. It's like, yeah, I disagree with that. I thought that was like a bad thing kind of, sure. But it's like, okay, well, does that change your view of them at all? It's like, no, I don't think that has any impact whatsoever. And if I would view them as being like bad actors in this way, it's like, okay, weird, I guess.
That, I guess my question beyond that would be, does that change your perspective on how people like should in general interact with them, if not how you would interact with them yourself?
No.
Oh, yeah. So Conduit asks it, right?
See, I'm not
There's
sure
no impact
what to take away
whatsoever.
from that, then.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That statement, and I think sometimes this is why it's good to back up sometimes and do like a full big brain macro view of like what are we actually talking about here, right? So you've identified a thing, and then you seem to agree that that thing perpetuates a thing that we would say is bad, and you even say that they were bad for that thing. Would that impact like your willingness to work with them at all? Not at all. And it's like, okay, well, what? Like almost definitionally, bad things are things we want less of, and good things are things we want more of. So if this was doing a bad thing, and you agree that it's a bad thing, why would that not impact your desire to have more or less of it? That just doesn't make any sense. It's totally incomprehensible.
Because if you are willing to go along with the premise that what they are doing even has the potential to increase anti-Semitism, it should change what your perspective is on how to engage with them, because you understand that there is a material harm to the way that they like put out information.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you that that's priced in. The fact that they platform some sickos or they platform some people who
But it's not.
are shitty.
We're not talking about whether or not something is priced in. We're talking about like what you choose to do with like the platform that does all of these things. If you like are promoting it yourself by
Going on it. Yeah, like on Fox News. I think what Fox News does.
It's not just going on.
Eliminated. Thank you for the 5 good kick subs.
It's saying that like you don't want to change how these things are interacted with, like if not for yourself, then for other people, because you recognize that there is a material harm that comes with it. If someone tells you that smoking is bad after you've been smoking for a while and you say that's not going to change anything, a person is going to look at you like you're.
You asked me whether or not it'll change my approach.
They have changed the context and how it.
You asked me whether it would change my approach to going on their shows and stuff.
I asked you whether or not it would change your approach or how you would expect other people to engage with it.
Other people, I'm not sure. On me, it doesn't change how I approach it. I mean, I would go on Fox News, and I think that Fox News has a material harm.
They do this game too, and I don't know how Conduit. I think we'll call him out for it because he seems like he understands more nuance than most of the people that push back on this. But it's like I would go on Fox News. Look up. No one is talking about the platforms you're going on. They're talking about whether or not you seem to lend support for the views that they have on it, right? Like, I don't know why they keep, like, people keep playing these, like, word games over, like, would you go on or support a thing or whatever? Like, oh, I would go on Fox News. Like, that, would you go on Fox News for, like, if Fox News were to reach out to Pisco and say, hey, we just want you to come on for a legal analysis of this thing that the DSA, wants to put out that we think is illegal, and Pisco might even agree it's illegal. Would Pisco really accept that uncritically? He would just go on Fox News to shit on the DSA? The answer is obviously no, he wouldn't. He would not accept that. And he shouldn't.
Harmful effect on a great deal of shit. But if it was a polite interview about my legal takes, I would do that.
Wait.
I would
do whether or not it would change your approach or how you would expect other people to engage with it.
Other people, I'm not sure. On me, it doesn't change how I approach it. I mean, I would go on Fox News, and I think that Fox News has a material harmful effect on a great deal of shit. But if it was a polite interview about my legal takes, I would do that.
They're not adding. Fuck, I hope Conduit asks a follow-up question. I think it would be okay if it was anti the current administration. I would be shocked. Or at the very least, I would heavily disagree, and every single person on Pisco's team would heavily disagree, that if Pisco were to be brought in to give legal takes on a thing that he disagreed with the DSA or the Democratic Party about, would he really go on Fox News to just give that? That would be crazy to me. Maybe he would to bite the bullet on this, but I don't know. That would be wild.
Would you agree with that?
But there's a much.
Fuck that. But the way he phrases might be a
It's hard to
stumper
say because Fox News is a much broader question.
Yeah, much
of,
worse.
It's
a much worse.
Is a much smaller
Right.
thing,
So Fox News has a worse.
But it's also much more narrow in how you can approach it. So with Fox News, you have different anchors you can choose. You have different platforms you can choose. You can give them an article on their website, or you can be on their prime time with what's his name? My brain's saying Jesse's single. That's
Jesse
not
Waters.
right.
Jesse Waters.
You're talking about Breaking Points, or you're talking about Jesse?
Jesse Waters.
I almost said Jesse Owens. Holy shit.
Yeah,
guys, which Jesse is it?
Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, Waters.
Yeah. Like you can go on his like primetime news hour, or you can go on like Fox Business, and like it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I mean Fox News, big Fox.
But with Breaking Points, because it's only 5 people who switch around like for their for the videos they put on YouTube.
What I'm
saying
is
only engage in that specific context.
Whatever
like,
effect
you only have Ryan Grimm or Emma or Crystal or what's his name? God,
Emily.
Sagar.
Yeah. Wait, can I tell you why?
Yeah.
So whatever instrumental effect Breaking Points has on anti-Semitism, putting aside their specific, alleged anti-Semitic views, and just focusing on the instrumental effect, that's priced in. That occurs whether or not I engage with them or not.
What?
Sure.
So he doesn't think he has any sway on his own audience, or boosting
being involved in the production of it lends some responsibility to you for engaging with it.
Well, why would I be? So if I go on there, why would I be?
Is he saying because they'll do it no matter what? You could easily ask a flip side hypothetical here. Would you go on like the Daily Stormer, like the pro-white nationalist media conglomerate? I don't know if that even exists right now, but like, because they're going to do they're going to do white nationalism or no matter what. I don't understand. That's wacky. What the fuck is this?
Saying I would be responsible morally for their anti-Semitic views? Or, sorry, anti-Semitic instrumental effect?
To the extent that anyone is responsible for the actions of like another system for choosing to engage with it.
So if
If
I
I go to
interact,
McDonald's, I am responsible, and to some extent, for the slaughterhouse that produces the meat that they need for their burgers.
so if I interact with like Myron Gaines, and you're saying I'm
God.
actually responsible for,
If you're
I
not
don't have that
combative
view.
at all, I mean, oh my god,
it-
how do they keep doing this
When you interact
stupid
with Myron
fucking?
Gaines
It's
in your
combative.
Twitter space,
It's combative.
it is a
Combative.
smaller percentage of responsibility for it, but in effect, you are legitimizing his place in the broader media ecosystem by communicating with him in the ecosystem.
Even if I have no effect on the overall disposition of people towards Jews.
But you are having an effect by
Why would I
interacting
have?
with it.
Why would I have an effect?
It exists when you engage with it,
Why?
because that's a function of how communication broadly works.
That's not my
It's
vibe.
not that people go away. It's not that people stop existing when you stop talking to them.
So you're
but
saying
it's
when
a
I go on
matter of
breaking
them
points and do my legal analysis,
100% verifiably existing when you talk to them.
so you say when I go on breaking points and do my legal analysis, I'm increasing anti-Semitism, all else equal?
If you don't push back on their views, will be the argument.
I think that the way you just implied it would say that you are increasing it to a degree so significant that you would be able to measure it. But because everything like that we're talking about right now is based on
Like, by the way, Pisco knows this argument intrinsically. Good point, YouTube chatter. Because what is one of the things? Anybody remember one of the things that Pisco just got mad at Wick for? Was for simply retweeting a Fox News thing. And he said, even if you agree with the Fox News thing, you should never be retweeting Fox News. But now he's saying in the next breath that he would go on Fox News and do a legal segment, but you can't retweet a Fox News tweet? Like, reconcile those two positions for me. That even retweeting Fox News is evil, material harm, but going on Fox News to do a legal segment would be fine. Oh, was that Soy Pill? Oh shit, maybe that wasn't Pisco. I wonder if Pisco joined him in that argument. But I don't think he would be okay with it regardless. I don't think so.
Vibes.
can draw from observation rather than empirical numbers. I would say that the answer is yes, but it is not to a degree where I think that based on
Yeah,
that
I don't share
premise,
that
you should
intuition.
consider yourself.
I don't think you have to argue on the degree of harm caused. That's going to be hard to measure no matter what. This is like a very, very difficult argument, I think.
like wholly at fault for like any sort of like individual action that they take.
So
as a
that's
result
that
afterwards.
is something I'm going to want to see some case for. So I don't have the intuition that if I go on there and give totally, down the line views on like Trump corruption, that I'm having the instrumental effect of increasing anti-Semitism. That's not my vibe, and I would demand some evidence for that.
I could speak to hypotheticals based on the premise of you engaging with them purely on legal grounds, but I would just say that if their goal is to produce content and the content that they manufacture is what gives them the ability to spread further anti-Semitism, and the anti-Semitism is a known quantity based on their previous content that they have made, then the result is just that you have further enabled like the system that does that. It's
Well,
not
that would
necessarily
be that would be true of anytime I interact with.
it's not necessarily like give them something completely separate from that production is in
Myron.
itself something that is anti-Semitic.
That
But it
would be
is
true.
something that contributes to their ability to provide further.
That would be true of any platform that I engage with, which is highly critical of Israel, regardless of whether they platform Professor Young, because it is my belief that focusing on Israel.
Because it's not just exclusive to Professor Jiang. It's a matter of the fact. It's a matter of the way they produce content daily means that they have enough. They push out enough information that it is always going to come through in some way because their intended goal with the content that they produce has the knock-on effect of the anti-Semitism because they don't take care enough to actually differentiate what legitimate criticism
I'm not
of
sure about
Israel
that.
or AIPAC
So
or Republicans is.
That's going to be dependent on the particular creator. I would agree on TYT. Maybe there's specific examples of breaking points that you can come up and that'll make sense. But let me give you an example, like Mehdi Hassan.
I'm sorry. I need you to be more specific with that because
Yeah.
if the list that I provided to you of instances of how they have either platformed tacitly or like explicitly endorsed something anti-Semitic without being aware of it, if you need further evidence of their ability to actually do that,
you're saying
like,
without
just
proper
continuing on,
guardrails.
I don't know if I'm ever
Those
going to
alerts are those alerts are doobie donations. Nice.
actually be able to convince you of that.
You're saying without
Because
proper guardrails.
I could always point to more things, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
So I'm saying, like, it's my view that just, again, centering on Israel, even with appropriate disclaimers, is likely to have the instrumental effect of increasing anti-Semitism, unfortunately.
Yes, but there is the good faith attempt to minimize that, and then there is the lack of awareness of it or the unwillingness to actually confront it. And I think they fall into the second camp, where they are aware of the fact that that is a consequence of what they are doing, and they go through it anyway.
I mean that now you're speaking to their intentionality regarding it, right? What they want to
I am
occur.
speaking to I am not speaking.
I feel like I've said this many times before. I feel like if you find yourself constantly like bogged down in these like weird discussions where you feel like no progress is ever being made, I think something has to change with your approach. But I don't know, whatever.
To their intentionality, I'm speaking to the that word for they do it enough that you can see that the cross section of everything would lead you to that as a reasonable conclusion.
Right. So they're either.
Does that make sense?
You're saying that
Basically,
they
do
don't
it
care
enough
about
that
the
even
effects.
if they don't explicitly say it, or you don't know for 100% certainty, that is the only reasonable result that you can come to because of the fact that it keeps happening.
Yeah. So I think I know their position. I think I've heard it before, which is something like, because, you know, the pro-Israel people are conflating anti-Semitism with pro-Israel, that's the effect that they're having, and we don't want that. But that's not our fault. It's them who are conflating
True.
anti-Semitism and
Yes, but do you
anti-Zionism.
think that is a reasonable conclusion that they can make in good faith?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Do you think that
over
like
the
they're
conflation?
do you think that they are saying that because they have come to that conclusion based on the evidence that they have seen, and that's
I have no reason
like,
to
a
doubt
fair
that that's
conclusion to
their.
come to for themselves?
I have
Or
no
do
reason
they-
to doubt that
or
that's
are
their
they saying
sincere
that
belief.
because they need to deflect from the consequences of their own actions and say that it's somebody else's fault
Listen,
without
people,
any internal critique of
people
what
love
they're
to
doing
make
themselves?
people love to make stories for why they're not culpable for stuff, and so I have no reason to doubt that they're not sincere in that belief, if that's what you're asking.
I feel like the way Pisco phrased that implies not being sincere if you're making up stories for why you're not culpable. But okay.
Why do you think that there's a reason? I'm not just trying to like ask why to everything that you're saying, but for a lot of this, it's just coming back to you saying that you don't believe that a thing is happening. I am trying to show you that there are examples of that thing happening, and you just coming back to I don't think that was intentional.
Wait, hang on a second. What did I not grant?
Hang on.
What fact am I not granting?
If I present examples to you of them being like,
Did I dispute any?
I keep forgetting words. I don't think that you're disputing anything, but
Okay.
I think that you're taking it all individually and not looking at like the broad trend of what's happening. The
Wait, I have. I
consequences
said
of it, and
I'm willing to grant that
and their
the-
unwillingness to actually like fix it.
I'm willing to grant that my vibe is, again, no empirical data, uninformed opinion. My vibe is that they have the instrumental effect of increasing anti-Semitism. That's a holistic
but
overall look.
Yes, but that was the initial that was the initial thing that you said. But if engaging with it doesn't change, their production of it doesn't change, and the overall impact of it doesn't change, then what are we actually doing here?
Yeah. So they
At some point, the chain has to break if you want to actually have something different happen.
So a bunch of responses here. Are you asking me, given this, should I change my behavior? Or are you asking me, does this show that they're bad faith or that they're anti-Semitic, given that they must also share this belief? So there's two
It's one
questions.
after
The
the
first
other,
is like
because
my conduct, and the other is what we should interpret about their state of mind, given our shared belief here.
Sort
Which
of.
do you want to do first? Their state of mind or my actions?
No, I want to lay this out in order first because
Okay.
I think that that's going to be able to better pin down what we're actually talking
Sure.
about rather than speaking broadly to each individual action.
Okay.
We both agree that there is some capacity for them to increase anti-Semitism with the way they report on the news because either through
Israel
carelessness
focus,
or
high narratives that are, super emphasizing Israel's
Yeah.
influence. Yes, all that stuff. Agreed.
yeah. So all of that stuff has the capacity to increase anti-Semitism.
Yes.
They don't have a willingness to improve their coverage in such a way that it minimizes that.
Well,
We can draw conclusions
that's a
about
different
what
thing.
their
That's a different
preferences
thing.
are
So,
based on that.
So that's a different thing. So I often hear these kinds of creators, including and not limited to Kyle, say that they disavow anti-Semitism, that they are not talking about Jews, that it's actually anti-Semitic to conflate Jews. And so you can say that that's not enough. That's not enough disclaiming it, anti-Semitism, but they do
enough.
it.
It's that it's factually incorrect and it doesn't line up with what they're actually doing.
What's factually incorrect?
Because me just saying
Well,
that
also, thanks for the
anti-Semitism
1,000 cakes.
is bad doesn't mean that what I am doing isn't.
I also don't. This is it's such a weirdly childish, naive argument from Pisco. Again, and we're all progressives here, right? We're all part of our progressive folk. You would never, ever, ever, if somebody's like, I think this person is being racist, you would never say as a counter to that, really? Well, here's a message of them where they say they aren't racist. And it's like, oh, well, fuck me, dude. You got it. Never mind. Okay. I didn't know that they had a message saying they weren't racist. You would never do this form of analysis. You would never analyze the situation this way. It's such a weird thing to argue.
Anti-Semitism, and that it isn't bad. I'm just putting out a separate thought, and I'm asking you.
I thought we were talking about
what I'm doing.
So now we're changing the dependent variable. I thought we were talking about the effect, the instrumental effect on anti-Semitism in the world. I'm not talking about their.
I don't know why. Also, unless I misunderstand, instrumental generally means you're using something to achieve some end quite intentionally. I think instrumental, if you're an instrumentalist with regards to a thing, then you believe the thing is valuable because of the end or whatever. I think he means this is the ultimate effect of, or this is this happens as a result of, or it's a byproduct of, or whatever. I don't know why he's saying the instrumental effect of their coverage is anti-Semitism, because if that's true, then you're saying they're intentionally doing it. I don't think he means that.
Instrumental effect, but we're also talking about the way we engage with it, and that requires being able to observe both simultaneously.
So are we talking about whether they're anti-Semitic or whether they're causing anti-Semitism to increase?
Both.
Okay.
One leads into the other.
Well,
so do you think that they're anti-Semitic?
And how we choose to engage with that determines whether or not we see that as a problem.
I'm not convinced that.
Oh, or he could mean incidental maybe instead of instrumental. I think incidental maybe would work here as well. Maybe.
I'm not convinced that Crystal and Kyle are anti-Semitic.
I'm trying to figure out how to respond to that, because I feel like that is set up to just make us go into another circle about this, because the entire premise of this conversation is built on the fact that whether or not they are knowingly anti-Semitic, they are doing something that causes anti-Semitism. So giving them the label of that, it doesn't necessarily imply that in their own minds.
I'm not going to call them anti-Semitic. I'm not going to call them anti-Semitic unless I think they're anti-Semitic.
Engage with them.
Yeah, I'm not going to call them anti-Semitic unless I think they're anti-Semitic.
Again, that's not the prescriptive solution, though. What I'm talking about is whether or not we engage with them differently based on the conclusions that we can reasonably draw from their actions.
I'm happy to engage on that. But if part of this is analysis of whether they are anti-Semitic, I'm just telling you that I'm not of that belief. I have not been convinced that they're anti-Semitic. But I'm happy to do the analysis independent of that.
In that case, I need you to sell me on something.
Yeah.
If I say Israel bad, it is a very easy thing to say. It is not anti-Semitic in and of itself. But I say Israel bad in such a way that it causes people to conflate Israel, Jews, and a disproportionate impact of them on America in such a way that they cause material harm, and that it creates an internal bias in someone towards those groups of people without legitimate cause. I don't hate Jews. I will say that anti-Semitism is bad. Am I an anti-Semite?
You're an anti-Semite if you harbor prejudice against Jews.
Oh boy. King, let's go.
That's when you're an anti-Semite.
So
on the basis of them being Jewish.
So do I need to do that knowingly, or do I need to or can I be an anti-Semite if I cause that through my actions, unaware of the connection?
Yeah. So if you cause anti-Semitism, you are not necessarily anti-Semitic. Agreed? Yes or no?
It depends on if we define anti-Semitism by action or by virtue of belief.
I understand anti-Semitism to be a belief.
Can it be an action?
I don't think
He's looking for, instead of belief or action, he should be looking for like end effect or like intent versus effect. Like we literally have, and Pisco will know this because it's come up in fucking cases for voting or whatever. Like the disparate impact analysis or whatever. If you say something and it ends up having an impact, even if you didn't intend for it, it ends up having an impact so bad on certain groups of people. Then we can say that, well, this has a racist impact or a misogynistic impact, or it's impacting some group of people in a bad way, even if it wasn't intentional.
that actions independent of beliefs are inherently anti-Semitic. No.
So if I put a sign on my store that says whites only, but I'm doing that because I care more about the ability of my store to profit based on the fact that whites are willing to pay higher prices, am I doing something racist?
So your action itself will be interpreted as racist, but I don't think that you are racist.
What? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Inherently anti-Semitic. No.
So if I put a sign on my store that says whites only, but I'm doing that because I care more about the ability of my store to profit based on the fact that whites are willing to pay higher prices, am I doing something racist?
So your action itself will be interpreted as racist, but I don't think that you are racist.
Owned. I would just leave. I would be completely and thoroughly owned at this point. I don't even know how.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I did not expect you to cop to that so fast, but didn't.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't say cop to it. That's aggressive. But I mean, like, this is what are we doing right now? Hello, where are we at right now? What? So the neighborhoods, like in that case, the vast majority of like Jim Crow era people, I don't even know how we would define racism at this point. Like a lot of people that are racist, like have bad beliefs about racist people, right? Oh, I have whites only for my gym because I thought that all blacks were rapists. Oh, I have whites only at my store because I thought that all blacks were thieves. Oh, I had whites only at my bank because I thought that all black people were poor and had bad credit. Like those actions might be interpreted as racist. What are we even saying at this point? What?
Do you think that's a distinction without a difference at that point?
I mean, in effect, you could say this person is discriminated on the basis of race through their action. So that action, I guess the action is by definition discriminatory against black people, maybe. But again,
maybe
you actually have. Sorry, let me fix that. So
yeah,
you are intentionally discriminated on the basis of race. So that is racist, even though your overall intention for it is economic. So I would say the action is an intentional discrimination on the basis of race.
A little better. But
okay, so in that case, can we apply that to anti-Semitism? Can an action be anti-Semitic without someone personally?
I cannot believe it took us so long to get. How long did it take us to get to this point? Jesus Christ!
Discriminate on the basis of Jewish faith and Jewish ethnicity.
Okay, so can we reasonably apply that to the actions of someone who causes harm to Jews without any sort of clear sense that they're doing their best to minimize that consequence?
Depends on the action. Depends on what they do.
True.
Okay, but we can do that. Like that's just.
When you say can, you mean it could apply. So if you have a store owner who says Jews need not apply, but doesn't harbor a bias towards Jews, I would say that he is discriminated on the basis of Judaism, and therefore the action is discrimination by definition, and therefore the action is anti-Semitic.
I don't know if he'll ever ask this, but how do we make any determination then about somebody being racist or anti-Semitic or misogynist or having any belief? Do they have to say, I have X belief? And then if somebody says, this is like self-ID, but for beliefs, which we would never agree with. What?
Even though he's not anti-Semitic. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, I agree with that.
Perfect.
So
so far we agree on everything. Wait.
So as a result of what you just said,
can we just pause? Can we just wait? Can we just pause?
I'm not going to pause because I want to get this sentence out.
So no. We will pause.
I want to nail this down. Can we apply that to breaking points?
So I will answer that question 100%. But so far we have not disagreed, right? On that. The racist example of the store owner. Okay, so we've agreed everything so far. All right, so can we apply that to breaking points? If what you mean by that is, are there some actions which fit that mold? I'm not aware of them.
So you're saying that it does not fit the mold of causing like harm to Jews and the Jewish community.
No,
by having
that's
people who
that's not
posit
that's,
conspiracy theories
no,
about Jews.
That's not what I said. So when the action is itself discrimination, right? When the action is itself discriminating on the basis of Judaism, then you can attribute it. But if it's not that, then you wouldn't say like the action is inherently this or that.
Does Holocaust denial qualify as discriminatory towards Jews?
Not necessarily.
Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Damn, there's like. He's like put himself in a world where, and maybe this is part of the strategy for the wacky people, where I guess like nothing can truly be anti-Semitic, I guess, or racist or whatever. If you, I don't even know how he would make these determinations at this point, but okay.
Agreed?
No. How can you come to a conclusion that the denial of Jewish history, based very specifically and explicitly on prejudice towards Jews, is not in itself an anti-Semitic act?
Have you
Because
considered?
they're different analytically by
Yes or
definition.
no?
It's
Have you
highly
considered yes or
correlated
no?
with it, but it's not the same.
At what point is that a distinction without a difference?
At the point of definition, which is what you're asking.
Owned.
Do you
So
agree?
you're saying that someone can
So
deny
I'll
the
ask you the
Holocaust?
question. So
you're saying that
wait,
someone can. So you're saying
Yes,
that
it's
someone can
possible.
deny the Holocaust
Yes,
and
it's
engaging
possible.
with that
Yeah.
person
Yes, he said it.
and
Owned.
validating those beliefs
Yep.
as Holocaust denial is not discriminatory against
Wait,
Jews.
wait.
because
So
it's-
that's not what you asked. So
Hold
the
on.
question. So and let's see if you agree.
Yes, it is.
Is it logically possible to
Oh, my favorite
deny the
phrase.
existence of the Holocaust
Is it
and not
logically
be anti-Semitic?
possible?
No, you are by definition
What's the
anti-Semitic for doing
contradiction?
that.
What's the contradiction?
Oh no. Explain. Demonstrate.
It's not a contradiction. It's
Well, in order for it to be
literally a
impossible,
denial of it's a
in order
denial
for
of
it to be-
historical fact for the
it-
sake of downplaying harm
well,
to
no,
Jews.
that's assuming an intention, right?
No, that's not assuming an intention. That's assuming a
Of course it
consequence
is.
based on an action
It
that
kind of is it's a little bit. You could maybe say that it's assuming intention, but like at some point, just in case you guys are not aware of this, all intentions are assumed from something. You will never have a deductive way to determine. We can only infer intention because we cannot read people's minds. Intention can only be inferred. Even somebody stating their intention is only an inference because people can lie. Somebody stating something that's not deductively true. Like, no. You have to. You're always making inferences. I don't understand this argument. This is wacky, but
it's taken.
What
and
if you didn't have that
it's ta-
purpose?
there is no way to be a Holocaust denier in a way that does not presume some sense of willingness to minimize harm to Jews.
like technically, he's speaking deductively on the other side too by stating this in like absolutes. Like we could imagine some form of Holocaust revisionism that doesn't require you to be anti-Semitic. It's just it lines up so cleanly, and it is like a hallmark, a cornerstone of anti-Semitism. It is hard to imagine otherwise, but like theoretically, somebody could find some piece of evidence that would be very compelling to them, and now they're not entirely sure on the Holocaust and all that. Blah blah. Like I mean, we could imagine that. It doesn't have to be the case. It is impossible, but like it would be highly indicative of a person's beliefs, and I think we would all accept that to be true.
When you say there's no way, do you mean it's logically impossible? What do you mean by that?
Logically impossible.
I am saying that if you are to engage with someone in good faith, it is not based on ignorance. It is based on intentional. It is based on intentional. It is
let me
based
give
on
you-
some level of intentional malice.
Let me give you what you want here, right?
And there's one more thing that needs to go there. Whether or not that person has come to that conclusion based on their own ignorance, the necessity of you being aware of this as its own problem, based on the fact that you are established as someone who should be more
Aware.
you are someone who should know better about that kind of stuff. That you are someone who people.
Okay, I don't really care
trust
about the
for
meta.
inform-
I don't care about the meta. So I really don't care about the meta.
It's not.
It is meta.
It is not a meta.
So
Really,
let me ask the question, right?
function It is the function of conversation in news media that if you're someone people tune in to listen to, you need to have a level of expertise that you can gauge whether or not.
So here's the
here's
the
so
question.
if someone else is being a Holocaust denier, regardless of whether or not they are in good faith coming to that conclusion, the fact that you are willing to engage with that at any level prescribes bad faith to you for your unwillingness to actually consider whether or not what they're saying is correct.
So I obviously agree that denying the Holocaust is highly correlated with anti-Semitism, and I would presume someone who does it is anti-Semitic. But the question is, does it necessarily make you so? Right? That's what the question is.
Does it logically commit you deductively?
The question is two parts.
Wait, is that one of the questions?
If it doesn't make you yourself anti-Semitic for
I'm asking
engaging
the
in
wait.
Holocaust
I
denial?
just
I'm asking
Does it
the
make somebody
questions here.
else anti-Semitic?
okay. So
I need to ask you that because I need to understand what your perspective is. Because that's how we're gauging whether or not
I'm giving you my answer, and it's totally clear and totally obvious. So I would presume someone who denies the Holocaust, the existence of the Holocaust, is anti-Semitic. I would presume that, given the amount of evidence that exists for the Holocaust, given the trend, given the association, and the predictive power of such a guess. All right, so I would presume it. But the question is, it is possible to deny the existence of Holocaust without being anti-Semitic. And what I mean by that is just there's no contradiction, right?
No logical contradiction.
If we're going by the definitions that you have placed,
Why not concede this instantly? For Pisco or for Conduit? Pisco won't, because he's trying to have like this autistic philosophy debate, and I don't think Conduit understands that there's like an autistic philosophy debate going on right now. So that's, I think, is what we're doing.
on this, it is possible to not hate Jews and deny the Holocaust,
So
but
we
it is
agree.
not possible to be not anti-Semitic and deny the Holocaust. You are doing something that is in effect anti-Semitic. It is against Jews to deny the Holocaust, regardless of whether or not you come to that
now we need
conclusion
to-
in good faith because you're an idiot.
We need to cash out then what we mean by anti-Semitic. Do you take some action to be anti-Semitic or some statement to be anti-Semitic if it just has the effect of increasing anti-Semitism?
Yes.
So if someone has a truthful expose on Israel and it's breaking news and it actually does like reveal something valuable to discourse and it shows that Israel committed some horrible act, and the instrumental effect of that news reporting is that it increases anti-Semitism by 0.02%, which is a significant amount, perhaps, let's say in the overall scheme, maybe it's like thousands of people, would you say that that expose was anti-Semitic?
If you can reasonably gauge based on observation and critique that the
Oh my god, these conversations are so fucking crazy. You can say that like it could have an increase in anti-Semitism, right? That's fair, and you would probably have to like just own that. But just because something has an increase in some bigoted belief or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean the entire thing is bigoted, and it definitely doesn't mean that we should not talk about it at all, right? So like reporting crime accurately in certain areas might lead to an increase in racism or racist thought. Like that could be and very well is the case, depending on what you're talking about. But that doesn't mean that we stop reporting who's committing crimes, because of that. So, yeah.
expose was crafted in a way that the primary goal of it was
There you go.
present
Right.
that thing.
So it's not just about the
But-
effect you cause, it's
but-
about what the goals are, right? Agreed?
Kind of.
Yes?
He's having trouble here because Pisco's trying to railroad him into an argument, but there's two different arguments that are being made. And again, we can look at it legally, right? It's not just intent. It could also be like the reckless standard, like you should know better. You could have, so like for instance, I would assume nobody that drunk drives has the intention of getting into an accident and hurting somebody. I would imagine most people that are drunk driving have the same intention as people who are sober driving. They're just trying to get home. But you should know better. And if you do get into an accident, you're going to be held accountable to some extent that because you were drunk driving, you got into an accident, you were acting recklessly. You should know better. And recklessness speaks to an intentionality, maybe not the specific intention of doing harm, but it speaks to the knowledge that you ought to have that the behavior you're engaged in is harmful and you ought to know better, which is what Conduit was kind of hinting at earlier when he was saying like you should know better. And then Pisco wanted to say, well, no, that's a meta argument. That's not a meta argument. It speaks to the responsibility that I imagine Pisco would say he has, and to the responsibility that Conduit is trying to say that somebody in media would have.
If you're engaging in a conversation with someone in good faith about a topic, then yes. But we're talking about Holocaust denial. We are not talking about whether or not someone can effectively report
I
on
know
Israel.
that. No, I know that. But no, we're just trying to cash out your definition of anti-Semitism, and you were presented a hypothetical in which
No.
wait.
What we're doing right now is trying to figure out whether or not anti-Semitism is an action you can perform and not just something you can believe.
So if it's tied to a given purpose, I would agree that like maybe some actions can be characterized.
How can you see where Pisco is coming from, but get mad at Trevor asking if there's a way to criticize Abraham good faith? What? No. Hold on. What do we mean? What? I can rephrase what Pisco is saying in that I kind of understand the points he's trying to make. But this shouldn't be this difficult. Something is breaking down here. If you're having this much trouble discerning why a person is not understanding what you're saying.
As anti-Semitic, if the purpose of the action is discriminate on the basis of Judaism, whatever, but that's not the purpose of this expose that I gave, right?
Okay. We need to take a sidestep for a second because I need to establish something here.
Uh-oh.
What?
Why is it your belief that someone perpetuating hate or bigotry against a specific group has to be something intentional in order to be labeled as such?
I just understand that bias is like a state of mind. And so it's going to bear, someone's state of mind is going to bear on, I just understand those terms definitionally. And maybe you mean something different.
In that
but
case,
that's just what I understand it to be.
I think that's something that we can drill down. I think that's something that we can drill down on in itself.
That's what I'm trying to do, right? So I'm trying to give you an example. Wait, let me just finish.
Yes, but by applying all these examples to it, I think we're muddying it.
I'm trying to give you, no, I'm trying to,
I'm saying that if something can be an unconscious bias,
yeah, suppose there's no unconscious bias.
Not label it as,
right, so suppose,
label it based on the consequences of it.
I'm giving you,
Okay,
I'm giving you an example. I'm giving you an example of an action which has the instrumental effect of increasing anti-Semitism, but which isn't motivated either by a conscious or unconscious bias against Jews. That was the expose example. And my question for you was,
presenting it in such a way as to defend your own position because you're staking it on the claim of good faith that they aren't trying to do that.
No,
I am saying
yes, I am assuming that. Yes,
don't necessarily apply to that.
Yes. I'm just trying to.
You're not taking what I'm saying to its logical conclusion in order to extrapolate.
I'm just trying to understand what you mean by anti-Semitism. And so in this example, it wouldn't be anti-Semitic, right? Because there is no bias, conscious or otherwise, right?
But at a certain point in this conversation, it changed from whether or not I can believe something can be anti-Semitic and whether or not I believe that bias is necessary in order for something to be discriminatory.
Okay, so then define anti-Semitic.
I don't understand why that's the question.
I'm going to write down.
Very plainly see that there are some actions that are just inherently against a group of people, and so therefore, whether or not someone meant it or not, that has to be labeled as such. Otherwise, we risk losing the entire concept of bias, ignorance, and bigotry to the idea that we have to assume everyone is acting in such good faith that no one could ever actually be perpetuating it.
So then I don't understand your concept of anti-Semitism, and just describe it for me. Define what you mean by anti-Semitism so I understand it.
I ascribe
What is it?
Okay, for the purposes, it's...
I'm writing it down.
In order to answer what...
No.
Fair. In order to answer that question holistically, I need to basically put it... I need to describe it a little bit more nebulously than I would describe something like just flat-out racism. Because anti-Semitism has a whole lot of other things that come along with it based on the way that it has historically been applied.
Whether it comes along with it, I just need to understand what it is, okay? So there could be things that come with it. I need to know what it is. So tell me what it is. What is anti-Semitism? On your view.
At its base level, it is... Trying to figure out the most specific words I can apply to this in order to like really nail it down.
Sure.
If I wanted to apply as few words as possible to it, I think
no. I want you to get it accurate. So just take your time.
It is.
Take a few minutes.
Okay,
yeah, take a few minutes. You can look up some dictionary stuff. I'm not pressuring you. I just want to make sure it's accurate. Yeah, I'll listen. Listen, I can deafen myself, or I can mute myself, and I'll listen to music, and you just take your time.
I don't think that's necessary. I think that I should be able to come up with something off the cuff, even if it doesn't 100% work, for the sake of being able to.
I'm willing to work with you. Yeah, I'm not. It's okay. These are like difficult questions sometimes, so that's fine.
I think that part of me calling in today was just to try to get some more practice in with this anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not using the word "like" as much. I listened back to the.
Don't worry, man.
Twitter space.
It's not. It's just reps, bro. It's just reps.
It killed me listening to myself say "like" every fifth word.
It's a different thing, right? Like making video essays is a different skill than
I am
doing
much,
like these
I am
kinds of
much
things.
better at scripts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, how much longer does this go on for? Because this is this is taking a long time to go anywhere.
I can tell you what I mean by it. I mean, I just kind of take
Oh,
anti-Semitism.
that's what I was. Yeah.
You want me to do it or no?
There's a definition that I really like that is probably going to send this conversation into a death spiral, but I feel like I have to use
Just
it.
say it.
Okay.
The way I best understand anti-Semitism is that it is hating Jews more than is absolutely necessary.
More.
Okay, well, that's kind of a
than is
goofy.
absolutely necessary.
That's a little goofy.
The more that
It's really fun. It's a really fun meaning, isn't it?
I think that there are like major issues with it.
There are so many implications to what that actually means, isn't there?
Yeah, it implies that some level of necessary hatred of Jews.
Anti-Semitism is different from other forms of bigotry and bias because it comes prepackaged with a lot of ideas about where Jews are placed in society and what the effect of actually having bias against them is. So it's not just like seeing a black person and thinking that that person is more likely to beat me up and steal my wallet. It's about looking at someone and putting up like entire social structures around them that place them in a category that is entirely separate from everybody else.
Wow.
For the average anti-Semite who is knowingly anti-Semitic, it is basically saying that this person on the street is connected to a centuries, if not millennia old history of influencing the way society has been run in a way that has been done to benefit them at the expense of everybody else, and using other systems within society to cause harm to others who would get in their way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just raise an objection right now, which is like the distinct history concept that you're invoking here, because obviously, like the prejudice against black people has a distinct history, especially in America. I mean, a lot of these hatreds have distinct histories. Hatred of the Romani people, distinct history. Hatred of
yes, but the difference is the hate against Jews isn't built out of thinking that a Jewish person is inferior for their immutable characteristics. It's about thinking that that person has control over the way your life runs.
I mean, it depends, right? Like,
To,
I mean, if you look at what the Nazis, it wasn't just about level of power. It was related to a racial hierarchy that had a different conceptual foundation other than, yes, of course, they influence events, Judeo-Bolshevism, but I don't think it's intrinsic to anti-Semitism that it relates, like, there are plenty of contexts and they're often...
What? Did you just say Judeo-Bolshevism? Wait, I've never even heard those two words hyphenated before. Hold on, I'm sorry, I gotta look this one up. Wait, hold on. I gotta go back. Hold on. He didn't mean that like this is like a valid view or something. Hold on. I'm sorry. I misunderstood that. Hold on.
the difference is the hate against Jews isn't built out of thinking that a Jewish person is inferior for their immutable characteristics. It's about thinking that that person has control over the way your life runs.
I mean, it depends, right? Like,
To,
I mean, if you look at what the Nazis, it wasn't just about level of power. It was related to a racial hierarchy that had a different conceptual foundation other than, yes, of course, they influence events, Judeo-Bolshevism, but I don't think it's intrinsic to anti-Semitism that it relates, like, they're...
Oh, never mind. I think he's saying that these are the things the Nazis would argue. When I heard that, yes, but that in my mind is like a break from what the Nazis thought, and then here's the thing. But yeah, I think it was a break from the racial hierarchies, and then here's the thing. I think that's what he meant here. Never mind. Okay. Holy shit! I was going to say, oh god. Okay.
Plenty of context, and they're often associated. I just don't think it's dependent necessarily on it. I agree that is a trope. That is like a very, very powerful trope that goes along with anti-Semitism. But I don't know. I think that there's also tropes of related to black people and related like animalistic tropes. And tropes related to violence.
Yeah.
Distinct, like, I get it that there's specific aspects of the hatred of Jews which are unlike other kinds of hatred, and I totally grant that. But I'm not sure why we should incorporate those features into the term itself. Maybe we should, but you know what? Like, that's fine. I'm happy to work with you. I'm happy to work with you.
Because the meaning, it establishes how fluid the meaning of anti-Semitism is, such that the way that you can take a look at something and decide whether or not it's anti-Semitism based on the individual action compared to the whole and the intent, gives it more leeway to exist and permeate within society compared to other forms of bigotry that have a much more direct and immediate impact.
Okay, so we have the concept. The concept is hating Jews more than is absolutely necessary. So you would say that there's some amount of hatred of Jews that isn't anti-Semitic by definition.
No, I'm saying that there is some level of, sort of.
Okay, so what is the kind of hatred of Jews that wouldn't be anti-Semitic?
The main argument that we are currently having is about whether or not consciousness is necessary for something to be labeled as hate against a group or as like an action that can be hateful towards a group.
So can you give me an example of hatred of Jews? Can you give me an example of hatred of Jews that wouldn't be anti-Semitic?
Okay, I just want to say one thing to one person in chat. I am not downplaying anti-black racism. I'm very specifically saying that it is a different type of...
Don't worry about the chat, man. Just talk to me. Don't worry about the chat.
That one specific thing bothered me compared to
Got it.
everything else because I just wanted to like.
But like, I think people have an issue with this. Like,
minimize the chat, so I stopped.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I understand that I am having a hard time with some of this. Like I said.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I'm working
Guys,
on this.
I like Conduit. I don't think that he's coming in here to downplay racial prejudice, and we're trying to work with the concept. We're trying to get to the right answers. We're working in good faith. So I would appreciate if you guys give him the benefit of the doubt. You can critique him, but just try not to like assume that he's racist or some shit. Okay? Appreciate that.
I closed the chat anyway.
Okay, great.
So it was a mistake to have it open in the first place.
I think one issue that
I'm sorry, I lost my place.
Yeah, and listen, I made a mistake too when I answered too quickly that the person wouldn't be doing a racist action, the owner. That was a mistake. I should have said it is racist by definition, the action, because it's by definition discriminating on the basis of race. I made that mistake and I cleared it up. And so it's okay to make mistakes, it's fine, and I own it, okay? So, all right, we're on to the concept that you've invoked, which is the best way to understand anti-Semitism is, quote, it is hating Jews more than is absolutely necessary. I think people are going to have an issue with that because it implies that there's some amount of hatred of Jews, which would definitionally be not anti-Semitic.
Yeah, that's the weird part of it. Is what? I
don't
understand.
understand.
Trying to get into like the way this is all so incredibly nebulous that it's very hard to like distinguish as something that is like as happening in a way that you can very plainly point to, and anybody who's looking at it would be able to agree with you. Part of the problem with anti-Semitism is that when it's not just like the happy merchant.
Yeah, but like
Generally
it
speaking,
feels
you
like
can
all
take any
instances of
individualized-
hatred of Jews.
You can take any individualized incident and say, well, that isn't based on anti-Semitism. This other thing over here happened, and so.
Oh, but that's not hating Jews, right? We just be like that wouldn't be
Yeah.
hating Jews. That would just be hating a person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So let's take what we just said, where like a person can take a look at something and say like, no, it's not that. There's this other justified reason.
Yeah, I just wouldn't call that hating Jews,
And
right? Like
bring it-
you would never
yeah,
say
and
like.
bring it.
Go ahead.
And bring it towards like what Breaking Points and Kyle Kulinski do when they say that it's.
I'm not clear on the concept yet. No, I can't actualize it. I don't understand this yet. I want to work with it. So let's work with it. Some examples so I understand it. I want to know what you're talking about.
What do you mean by actualize?
I mean, apply it. Apply it to the conduct of Crystal Ball.
I'm not trying to be pedantic here, but
Yeah.
you're saying that you're having trouble actualizing it, and by actualizing it, you mean applying it.
Applying the metric to this other
I'm
metric.
saying that they have performed. I'm saying that like, if they have performed actions that enable the spread of anti-Semitism from the fact that they are engaging with it in a way that they don't call it out or at some level agree with it, despite the fact that it is very clearly incorrect, and they should be aware of that fact for themselves because they present themselves as people who should be knowledgeable about it.
We're way too far in.
They-
Like, all I'm saying is I need to understand a concept before I'm able to see whether or not they're in conformity or out of conformity with it, right? It's like imagine that you just said, I have this new concept. It's called, flarg. And I'm like, this is the concept of flarg, and I need you to know whether or not Crystal and Kyle are doing flarg. And I'm like, well, I don't understand flarg. I need to know flarg before I know whether or not Crystal and Kyle
Yes, but
are
that's
in
the-
conformity with flarg. That's why I need to do the work in this conceptual analysis. We need to spend some time on this concept. Otherwise, it's just going to be I'm not going to understand what we're saying.
Okay, so anti-Semitism is disliking Jews more than is absolutely necessary. They dislike Israel for the valid reason of being against the war.
You're
in Gaza.
applying it. I need to understand it first. You're jumping to. I just told you something, right? I need to understand this concept before I can apply it.
Okay.
Is that reasonable? So I can't apply this concept
It is
without understanding it.
itself, but I need to understand something because I think that applying something provides an example that you can draw a definition out of, and you seem to be saying that we need to establish a definition.
Okay, how much longer is it? I don't know. I want to spend that like hour listening to this. Okay, listen. I love everybody involved in this conversation. Okay. We might come back to this. Hold on. First, we have Summit 1G flashbang. That was one of the worst flashbangs I've seen in my entire life.
One, oh, that's you. They're waiting for pushes. One bottom mid.
Looks like that.
Bottom mid by
baby.
Xbox.
Smoke BB.
One top mid. One more top. Somewhere by pole, or it could be mid.
There's one mid. I literally looked like that can't possibly be that bad of a flash.
I only hear
And
one.
then the guy was actually there to shoot me in the face
You flat? Oh, we're
as
fucked.
I threw the
Slick, you're
worst
on an
flash on
island,
the
bro.
planet. That's
One
is
mid.
that not the same pillar
One
I
mid
did
door.
last time? Did I did one
Cat
too,
one.
like
Cat
one to
one,
the
one
right
on
of
B.
that?
Aura.
Guys, stop fucking boosting and promoting Manhattan Institute links, please. I beg you. I beg you. Okay? Manhattan Institute. Manhattan Institute.
Manhattan Institute.
Manhattan Institute. Manhattan Institute of please. Manhattan Institute. Manhattan Institute. Jesse from Manhattan Institute, one of my main ops, as you guys know, the most Islamophobic person on the fucking planet. Manhattan
Okay, well, I don't know anything about the Manhattan Institute. They might be.
Institute. Manhattan Institute. Dickhead from Venezuela. Stu Smith. Stu Smith. Stu Smith. Stu Smith. Stu.
Stu Smith.
Stu Smith. Stu Smith. The right-wing think tank that's responsible for all of the culture war initiatives that the Republican Party leans into. What? I don't care about the fucking Manhattan Institute. Guys, stop fucking boosting and promoting Manhattan Institute links, please. I beg you.
Okay, it's all anti-DSA stuff right now, but Jesus. Oh, wait, were they retweeting Chris Rufo? That's an auto loss right there then.
And then they trot out these candidates and try, like Mike Rogers, and try to get you to think that he's actually going to service Michiganders. And they know he won't. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, Abdul al-Sayed, he must be a terrorist. He must be this insane person. Well, they've run against him and they can't dig up any dirt on him at all. They've tried. They say, oh, he campaigned with Hassan Piker. Who gives a shit? Tough titties. Get over it. All of you are campaigning with J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, etc. Go fuck yourselves. I am so sick of this bullshit narrative that somehow who the Democrats campaign with is this horrible thing. Look at the monsters running this country into the ground.
Like, I fully agree with what she's saying, but I think for the exact opposite reason she thinks. Like, yeah, it would be fucking disgusting to campaign with Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, I guess, and all these other horrible Republican people. And it would also be horrible to campaign with, I would say, with Hassan, because I think he's also got disgusting views. I don't think I don't even know who she's criticizing. It literally could just be fucking moderate Dems, because these people all hate moderate Dems. But, like, the criticism is that if you're going to campaign with a person, I don't think people care. Nobody cares that he's campaigning with Hassan Piker. They don't care that he's campaigning with him. They care that it implies that he has beliefs that are shared with him. That's the issue. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the media. I don't know what we're talking about right now. Okay.
And then they trot out these candidates and try, like Mike Rogers, and try to get you to think that he's actually going to service Michiganders. And they know he won't. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, Abdul al-Sayed, he must be a terrorist. He must be this insane person. Well, they've run against him and they can't dig up any dirt on him at all. They've tried. They say, oh, he campaigned with Hassan Piker. Who gives a shit? Tough titties. Get over it. All of you are campaigning with J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, etc. Go fuck yourselves. I am so sick of this bullshit narrative that somehow who the Democrats campaign with is this horrible thing. Look at the monsters running this country into the ground.
Oh, or maybe she's making an argument about who you should vote for in the general. And it's like, well, if you don't care that they're campaigning with Hassan, then you should look at, like, Stephen Miller. Like, Hassan's views are, I don't care. Most people don't agree with this, but you'll get there. You'll get there eventually. Hassan's views are just as bad as Stephen Miller's. Stephen Miller just happens to be the fucking deputy chief of staff in the White House. So obviously he's more influential over the president and everything right now. But there's not very much daylight in between the horribleness of both of these types of beliefs.
All right, so this radical socialist takeover of the Democratic Party continues. Now you have progressive firebrand Chris Rabb wins the Democratic primary for what is the nation's bluest House seat, as John Federer.
Yeah, also, where were these people? Is she not talking about Mike Rogers supporters? Yeah, I think she is. Or she's talking, or no. I think, my guess is that segment was talking to people who were like, I don't know if I'm going to vote El-Sayed because he's campaigning with some of these radical people or whatever. And she's saying, well, look at who the Republicans are campaigning with. These people are even worse. That's my understanding of that.
Mentioned. Now, this is happening nationwide and has been brewing for quite some time, even before Mamdani and his socialist friends took power in New York City. And DSA and his socialist has been brewing for quite some time, even before Mamdani and his socialist friends took power in New York City. And DSA State Representative Chris Rabb won the Democratic primary for this congressional seat in Philadelphia. And like other DSA members, Rabb's platform is comprised of pretty far-left radical positions. Among them, he advocates for Medicare for all, universal basic income, federal jobs guarantees. The government does so well educating your kids. Guaranteed housing, universal child care, government grocery stores a civil climate core to transition to 100% renewable.
I don't know if this is supposed to be like a meddler ad. It must be. This has to be like a meddler thing, right? Because I feel like they would phrase these things so much more differently if this was like General or Pied Piper. Because like just looking at this, like if I was watching TV, it's like, what do the Democrats want to do? Federal jobs guarantee, national grocery stores, workers, Bill of Rights, Medicare. That actually sounds kind of good. This has to be like the weird like meddling stuff. No.
Renewable energy, no more oil and gas.
What's up, Tabor?
Have you satisfied your itch to talk about The Devil Wears Prada 2 yet?
No. Why? What do you think about it? Are you here to fucking defend that movie?
Absolutely not. I was a huge fan of the first one, and honest to God, my wife and I turned off the second one because I was getting so pissed off with it.
What part pissed you off so much you to shut it off?
Well, the whole thing, because I just hate the way that they do sequels now, because it's like, let's basically transport our characters from a movie from 20 years ago into the future, and they are like, oh, social media, am I right? Oh, I have to be politically correct, right? And it's just like it's a movie like, oh yeah, times are different from when the first movie was made. Like, it was just really dumb. And for it being, supposed to be a fashion movie, the outfits were fucking terrible.
Sure. Yeah.
What was your complaint with it?
My complaint was I felt like somebody watched the first Devil Wears Prada and they didn't understand what the movie was about and then wanted to make a sequel.
Literally. Yes.
Yeah. So like I think that in the second movie, unless there's something I'm forgetting. What's the name of the lead lady that Meryl Streep plays? I should remember this. Is it Miranda?
Yeah.
Like, she's just a deplorable piece of shit. She's like a bad person and bad character. Like, she's just bad. She's like a bad person. But I feel like in the first one, it was like a tough but fair, It was like she's tough, but it's because she's passionate, she's driven, and she feels strongly about the brand and the runway and everything else. But like in the second movie, she's just like an insufferable.
Well, it kind of gave me like Whiplash vibes. Like, it was kind of like Whiplash vibes. It's like
maybe, but even like the Whiplash guy at least was trying to like make a thing or whatever. I don't know. She just seems like a deplorable piece of shit in the second one. And then they also made the gay guy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is like in the first one, it's okay that she treats people like that because she is at the very top of fashion. She is like the mouthpiece, which it all trickles down because she was basically, writing for Vogue or whatever.
Sure.
But like,
and then the fact that Irv was like there for, because this is supposed to be like 20 years in the future, and apparently she's never recognized Irv as being, contributory to the company, and it takes Anne Hathaway's character to point that out. Like, it's been 20 years and she hasn't done anything for you. And he's like, oh, I guess you're right. I am fucking retarded. And it's like, I don't know. It just felt goofy as fuck. And then also the fact that it feels like Anne Hathaway's character, because I thought the part of the first movie was like, like becoming more confident and growing and understanding how she can navigate the world and kind of, she was like this frumpy girl before, and then she became a fashionista and lost herself, and then she synthesized these two things by the end. And then in this movie, it feels like she starts off as just like a goofy little loser again, where she's like, oh, I don't know I'm just a little journalist. And it's like, I don't know, it just felt weird. I don't know. Like, and then also, hold on. Oh, I didn't get to talk about this. The relationship was so forced, and it felt like it was a high school relationship. Like, remember when they're at dinner at the end and they're like, oh, well, is this a date? And it's like, oh, well, maybe if we call it a date. It's like, these guys are 50 years old. What are we, hello?
Wait. With the contractor?
Yeah. The Australian contractor.
I think as soon as that date scene ended is when I was like, we cannot watch this anymore. Like, my wife was like, yeah, this sucks. Like, we were making fun of that scene so bad. It was so weird that the romance in that movie just seems so ham-fisted. It made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
I think the only character that like they did well, and I think they could have just expanded it on this a little bit more, was the redheaded lady that used to work with Anne Hathaway, and then started running.
You're lagging.
Like made. Oh well, I'm driving, so
okay.
There wasn't a whole lot they did well, and of course they had to put in like 2 or 3 TikTokers in the movie because that's just what you do in 2026 now.
Obviously.
So fucking, and I love Caleb. Or I think that his name's Caleb. I love that guy, but it's just annoying seeing them pop up in pop culture.
Sure, it's a little bit out of character. There's two like celebrities that were pulled from the other world that I thought have actually done really well with their cameos. Is is his name Batista, the wrestler? I know that's the dictator that was before Cuba. Yeah, that guy I think has done a decent job at like being an actor and doing good roles. And then this is crazy, but is it Stavros? Is that how you pronounce his name? He's been
Stav. Yeah, he's great.
He's been good in appearances that he's been in. Like they've been serious, and he did a good job. And it wasn't like super like if you were just watching any of the films he's been, especially like I remember like Begonia, and there was one other that I saw. I don't remember off the top of my head, but like you wouldn't think like, oh my god, they pulled like a random fucking podcaster. Like he does a good job when he's on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. You should try to get on his podcast. You've been on the two other Come Boys podcasts. You got to get the trifecta.
Sure, we'll see. Yeah. I also you really didn't state you really didn't watch the end of the movie. You're not being hyperbolic.
I stopped after the date scene. I really did. I turned it off. It wasn't worth it.
If I were to, I think that's close to the end. If I were to ask you, like, what was the movie about? Like, could you summarize it?
It's actually more absurd when you ask me to do that, because an old intern that was the company bitch for the boss turned journalist gets shit canned because of online journalism.
I guess, yeah.
Redeems herself. I don't even know. What type of redemption story is it? It seemed like she was about to make her mark in the fashion world at the end of movie 1, and she could have if she wanted to.
Here's the thing that I thought. I really thought. I thought that the leading lady, Meryl, the Miranda girl, I thought she was going to have like Alzheimer's disease. I thought that was going to be part of the story because it felt like she didn't remember Anne Hathaway's character at all, and I just don't understand what happened there. What happened in between the movies?
Well, no, I think that's an extension of like how much of a bitch she was, that she's gone through so many interns. Like, why would she remember? It's the one from 20 years ago.
Well, but didn't she have like
really is no reason.
I thought they had a good relationship at the end of the first Devil Wears Prada because she was like helping.
That was weird. That was weird. But I think they were trying to be like, hey guys, remember she's a bitch.
Sure,
like,
but
you know
like
what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I thought that was weird. I don't know. And she hated Anne Hathaway too, right? The only reason she was able to be kept on was because, well, I guess you didn't watch, but the big plot twist in the end is that the anonymous person that recommended her for the job was the gay guy, was Irv. So he was like looking out for her behind the scenes. But then,
to the owner that died.
Yeah, and then apparently, I don't know. God.
But it also sounds like Anne Hathaway and Irv never talked in those 20 years too, which is also kind of weird. It's like, why would he remember her?
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, I don't understand anything.
Oh, and that 20 years in the future thing when Ryan from The Office starts, private equity is going to come in and change this business, basically, even though it's his dad's business. But he's like, this is modern capitalism.
Yeah. And they make her sound so retarded, too. And I didn't even understand. Here's what I thought was going to happen, was after they spied on that convo, I thought, because Anne Hathaway's character comes from reporting, and they kept making this huge deal, like, oh, you made a 3-part series on the Federal Reserve, interesting, and blah, blah, blah. I thought she was going to present some fucking genius plan to Miranda to save the company through some exotic, like, financial restructure or something. I don't even know what the point is of her eavesdropping on that conversation, other than, like, I guess they were going to get the other girl's rich boyfriend to buy out the company. Dude, it was so random and stupid. Oh my God, I hated this fucking movie. I don't know what the point is of anything. And then, that's how it was all solved in the end too. Was like different, I guess, billionaire people competing to buy out the company. It's just like, what the? I don't know, man. Jesus.
There could have been so many commentaries. There were. Like, again, the other intern who was running Chanel, like the way that they talked about like fashion now and how it's like it's all bold print, Chanel, Gucci on t-shirts. It's not the understated stuff that's on runways anymore. Like, expand on that and how like these different fashion houses are like eating each other alive. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
it was just like, hey, want to make $1 million
by bringing the old cast back together and throwing them in a random fucking story.
Maybe it was AI generated.
True.
And they were like, we need more spice on this movie, and it's like Australian apartment contractor.
Also, okay, I admit, I don't know fuck all about fashion, but do you remember the scene where she's standing in the closet and she's like, I want that one. And there's a dress that's off screen, and the guy's like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like the most like extravagant, showy.
No, I said to my wife, when they show up in the Hamptons, I go, that was the fucking dress she wanted. It was the ugliest fucking thing of the entire movie.
I was just confused because I was like, it's going to be something. My guess is there's going to be like a huge scene or something, and then she's going to walk in and like whatever crazy dress she picked out. Because there was no way that it was like the thing that looks like it was picked up from an actual granny thrift store. Like I was, and she's like, and he's like, don't spill a single drop on it. I thought it was going to be like some like shimmering, like red or white or whatever, and it's just like this weirdo thing. You wouldn't even tell if this fucking disgusting dress was stained. I was like, oh my god, bro, holy shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. That shit was wild. And then in the end with the one girl, she's like, because they have dinner at the end, or they meet at like a cafe with the Emily Bloom's character, and she's like, we can still be friends. It's okay. And Emily's like, really? Oh my god. And she, dude, okay, yeah. Anyway, I hated this fucking movie. Not good. Not a good movie.
It sucked. It sucked. And then that one jacket Anne Hathaway wore with all the tassels on it. I look at Haley and I'm like, what the fuck is she wearing?
There were a lot of wacky and wild outfits. I think Marilyn Streep, Miranda showed up in a thing that looked like, I don't know if you ever watched the Power Rangers growing up, but it looked like a Power Ranger armor piece with like the top part. And it was just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Will you
also the blatant like product placement is whatever, but this movie, I wonder how much did Apple pay to have like every time there's like a text, it's like it's like the Apple sound, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Holy shit, they all have iPhones. Oh my god.
And also the Maybach that they were riding in at the beginning of the movie whenever they made Anne Hathaway take the train. The Maybach symbol was in every shot inside of the car. Where I'm about to hang up, will you watch the cerulean belt scene from the first movie? That's a god tier monologue.
Okay.
Thanks, baby. All right. Good talk. See you.
No. And I've seen all this before.
I don't know if there's a single part in Devil Wears Prada 2 where this woman is even involved, where Miranda is even involved in picking out anything or being in charge of anything. She's just like, she is literally walks around serving bitch face to every single person, and that's all she does. Is she just is a bitch everywhere. And I'm like,
no. And I've seen all this before.
Deskins is trying to reinvent the drugway, so actually
Where are all the other dresses?
We have some right here, and then
And watch and listen.
And I think it can be very interesting with...
No, it's just baffling to me. Why is it so impossible to put together a decent run-through? You people have had hours and hours to prepare. It's just so confusing to me. Where are the...
I loved this trope back in like the 90s or 2000s is like, you just like don't do her hair up hardcore, but otherwise, and then you put her in like not the most form-fitting top, and then like a dress or like a skirt, and then she's like hideous. you're supposed to look at her and be like, oh my god, what a frumpy, hideous bitch.
Just so confusing to me. Where are the advertisers?
We have some pieces from Banana Republic.
Well, we need more, don't we? Oh, this might be. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, you know me. Give me a full ballerina skirt and a hint of saloon, and I'm on board.
But do you think it's too much like...
Like a La Croix from July? I thought that, but no, not with the right accessories. It should work.
Where are the belts for this dress? Why is no one ready?
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Uh-oh.
Something funny?
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh, okay, I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise. It's not lapis. It's actually cerulean. You're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic
Smacks her up.
casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
Get snarked. She got snarked. She did indeed get snarked.
Green New Deal, cradle to grave, womb to tomb, replacement of gross development or product with a...
This is okay. Anyway, he's also snarking. This is a pro super lefty. They're trying to promote the fucking DSA people, and then I wonder if we have yet. Have we gotten the majority report segment where all of them watch this and then laugh because they're like, these all sound like great idea. It'll happen. Mark my words. Give me the majority report segment where they watch this and they go like, well, these are all great ideas.
So-called genuine progress indicator, reparations, an end to the war on drugs, and end to the death penalty. And what he says is death by incarceration, abolishing ICE, dismantling immigration detention centers, ending the embargo to Cuba, and a Supreme Court overhaul. In other words, what he is saying is he would not just reshape our institution, he would tear them down, fundamentally transform them in what I believe would be a very dangerous way. And to
like this, it has to be. Jesus.
But all off, as any good socialist appears to...
What movie was that? It's called Devil Wears Prada.
Be doing this election year campaigning with the new spiritual leader of the Democratic Party, and that is the radical streamer who said America deserved 9/11, Hassan Piker. Anyway, Democratic nominee for Pennsylvania's 3rd Congressional District, Chris Rabb, joins us now. Chris, appreciate you coming. Let me just go through
My
the
pleasure.
DSA.
Thank you, Scott.
My name is not Scott. My name is Sean, but that's okay.
Apologies.
Let's go.
Thank you, Scott.
My name is not Scott. My name is Sean, but that's okay.
Apologies.
Let's go. No worries. No worries. Let's go through the DSA beliefs. Yes or no? You want to eliminate the U.S. Senate?
That's not really what I ran on. That's the DSA national platform.
Okay, I'm asking. You're a DSA member.
I'm letting you know what I ran
member.
on because I'm the Democratic nominee for the 3rd Congressional District.
Do you want amnesty
what I ran on.
Sir, I'm asking you a quick question, then we'll give you time. Do you want amnesty for illegals and to abolish borders?
What are illegals?
Illegal immigrants, people that didn't respect our laws, borders, and sovereignty, entered the country without permission. Illegally.
I don't accept the premise of that question. There are folks who have documentation, but these are not criminal acts.
Excuse me. If you enter our country illegally, by definition, that is a criminal act. Do you want to abolish ICE?
Absolutely, and dismantle the immigrant concentration camps.
Do you want to defund the Department of War?
I wonder what this guy's background is, because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? Hannity's here to just farm a whole bunch of DSA bad, communist bad clips and then play them to act like it's representative of the whole party. But I think he's here for an adversarial interview with Hannity, and I don't know if Hannity thought he was going to get a more adversarial interview with him, but...
we need to radically reduce how much...
Bro is handing over the clips. This guy? I don't agree. Absolutely not. No, I don't think so.
Camps.
Do you want
to... I mean, they might make clips out of it or whatever, but it's not in the way that one crazy co-chair lady came on.
Defund the Department of War?
We need to radically reduce how much money we're spending with the Pentagon. Absolutely. Our war budget is radically larger than every other country combined.
Do you want to end all deportations?
Do I want to end all deportations? We want to make sure that there's an immigration system that is fair, just, and efficient, and we don't have that system. There was a bipartisan bill in the Senate that was moving towards that, but your president tried to kill that in order to be president again.
Well, he's also your president. You do live in the United States, whether you like it or not. Would you like to eliminate cash bail and establish a wealth tax?
Absolutely.
Okay. You want, obviously, I went through your list. You want the Green New Deal. Would you like to abolish prisons and abolish the police?
Well, you know what's interesting about that statement is long before there was any notion of policing, we had founders that did not even understand that term. Policing is something that's evolved over time. Ultimately, what we want is to have communities that are safe. And 99% of what police do are not going after the bad guys. All of that can be done in different ways.
So you support,
professionals who are trained to do
police.
so.
Okay, I'm talking about police that arrest bad people, that commit crimes and commit robberies and rape.
Oh. We did get a majority report coverage of this today.
Chris Rabb is going to be one.
Oh, I was looking for the thing rolling on the intro or whatever. Okay. It doesn't look like they got that, I think. Okay.
child molesters, the drug dealers, those people, the people that have guns that protect the innocent.
Why do Republicans hate green energy so much? Because they think it's like lame. It's just stupid. You're not going to find a good answer to that. It's fucking stupid.
And rape, the child molesters, the drug dealers, those people, the people that have guns that
people
protect
who did
the
that
innocent.
before the term police existed, though. I mean, let's talk about this in the appropriate context.
You want to go by the definition. Everyone watching this show knows what policing is. You know what policing is, so let's not play word games. Do you want to defund the police or not?
I'm a state lawmaker who's represented 70,000 people for 10 years. No,
do you want them
never
safe
said
and
that.
secure?
My point is,
you do recognize there are murderers, rapists, child molesters, drug dealers, bad people in this world. Do you want to have people that are hired to arrest them?
We need to keep our communities safe, and there are ways of
I
doing
didn't ask
that.
you. Do
long
you
before
want
the term
police
ever existed.
Then how? If you don't
believe
have
in
police,
sheriffs?
how would you protect the
Do you
people in
believe
your
in state
district?
troopers?
State troopers, can they be armed in your view?
Hey, listen, I believe in arming oneself. Listen, my people are from the South.
So do I.
All right? So the only way we could protect ourselves was to arm ourselves because we couldn't trust the police because they were largely part of the Klan. So yes, all of my people were
That is a
armed. I have no
generalization
problem
that
with
is not true. Let me ask you this. Universal
I can
basic
only speak
income,
for
the Green New Deal that you support, federal jobs,
Thanks,
you want a
Sean.
guaranteed federal job, guaranteed income, guaranteed housing, guaranteed child care, government grocery stores, no more oil and gas, et cetera. So my question for you is, we spend more per capita on education per child than any industrialized country, and we have the worst results. That's government run, government schools. We adopted Obamacare. The promise was keep your doctor, keep your plan. Average family saves $2,500 a year. The results are in, and well, millions lost doctors, millions lost plans, and the average family pays 300% more, and 40% of the country around that number has one Obamacare exchange option. Social Security was supposed to be put in a lockbox. This is all government run. You're putting your faith in government. So my question to you is
Right,
why?
so this is the same government that's
Let
run
me finish
by
my question.
Republicans.
My question to you is why you put so much faith, hope, and trust that you want the government to basically control every aspect of people's lives.
Everything.
Why? Why do you have to trust them so much with that failed record?
Well, we're talking about a red trifecta right now. You all control everything, the Supreme Court, the presidency, the Senate, and the House. Where are your
Called
solutions?
elections.
Why are we not doing so well?
Well, we just had 4 years of Biden and wide open borders and a president that didn't know what day of the week it was. So, I mean, I think we're doing a lot better off. Let me ask you, if I can, last question.
You're trying to talk
so
about
the top 10% of Americans pay 50 to 60% of our tax bill. The top 20% pay nearly 100. The bottom 50% of wage earners pay 1 to 2% of the total income tax bill. Now, to me, that's redistribution. How much of every dollar that any American makes should they be allowed to keep without you and your fellow DSA members taking it?
The DSA. Coming for our money.
The Reagan era. How about those
The
tax-
Reagan era was he dropped the
how about
top
those tax
marginal rate. Okay, well, he dropped the top marginal rate from 70 to 28%. You want 28%? You'd be okay with that?
What I'm saying is there was a time under Democratic and Republican presidencies where the tax rate on the wealthiest Americans was much higher than it is now.
Okay.
And
Reagan
I think we should go
dropped-
back
let
to
me-
that. So
let me help
basically,
educate you
just
because
want
I know a lot about
multimillionaires
Reagan.
like yourself and billionaires
Let me
to
educate
pay their
you.
fair share. Because I'm
Oh,
old
I pay way more than my fair share. Trust me. The bottom 50% of wage earners pay 1 to 2% of the tax bill. But Reagan dropped the top marginal rate from 70 to 28%. It created 20 million new jobs, the longest period of peacetime economic growth in history. If you want to adopt Reaganomics, I don't know. I might consider your candidacy if you get rid of this other nonsense that you believe.
Haha. Epic.
That's
I'm glad you find this humorous. Listen, I'm glad you're applauding Reagan. I mean, I feel like I've made progress with you today.
Listen,
70 to 28% is.
probably
I think
things that
that's
we
weird.
agree. I think there's plenty of things that we can agree on. I've worked with conservative Republicans for 10 years in the nation's largest full-time state legislature.
Nope.
All right.
They're playing
well,
the song.
You have the bluest district in the country, so I imagine you're going to Washington. Congratulations. We appreciate your time. Thank you. It's been enlightening. All right, thanks for
Cut
watching.
this
Check
guy
out my
off.
new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big interviews, the debates you won't get anywhere else. Like and subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday.
Does the Muslim Brotherhood also partner with political groups such as the Democratic...
Stop. Why was I linked to this?
Almost ready to say,
Streamed 4 days ago.
you know what? I'm not even going to, the blue no matter who rhetoric, I'm not doing it anymore. Because it feels like unilateral disarmament, doesn't it? First of all, how much of that particular term is helping the discourse? I have never, in all my years on the internet, ever once witnessed a productive exchange about the concept of
blue, but it matters who. Root for DSA to lose. Wow. That's so strange. That's so strange, dude. That's such a strange phenomenon. Turns out this guy is just like, ideologically a neoliberal. I was wrong about this. I didn't realize that he was. Wow. The guy who said he would rather vote for Jeffrey Epstein instead of me is now saying it's not vote blue no matter who. That's the new sex pestiny meta. Root for Abdul and Fran to lose. Oh my God. Why did these guys literally fucking position themselves on the losing side of every issue? This is what happens when it's
Every
just like
issue.
personal spite and resentment are what
Yes.
drive your politics.
Great analysis. True.
It's crazy because this is Hassan derangement syndrome through and through.
Yes. It's all about Hassan.
But what I find very odd about it
Yes.
not that it's just like online weirdos now. Now you got like party bosses, old bosses. I get D, but why does Hutch hate you? Because Hutch is basically the Destiny dick rider.
True.
That's why.
So true, King.
Blue no matter who. Every time it's ever come up in my experience, every time I've ever witnessed it come up in other spaces, it's always a shit show. And, you know, like, it's just, I can't stomach people like Kyle and Crystal weaponizing the concept of blue no matter who.
Wait. Weaponizing the concept of blue no matter who. So it's not, so you're doing that.
To benefit their preferred candidates when these people were never about that life.
Yep.
It's so disingenuous that I don't think it's productive to even like push it anymore.
True.
You know what I mean? That particular phrasing. I think it's about time we retire it and just be like, you know what?
Because they didn't agree. We all agreed that it wasn't blue no matter who. So we're not doing that, which is fine, I guess. But like, that was what all of the Hassan types agreed with. That no, the genocide was too far. We're not supporting Kamala Harris. We can't support a genocidal freak. Like, so I don't know why they would be mad now. They're like, okay, well, we shouldn't do it. You're right.
Let's just all stop pretending like this is something that's, you know.
But this was the logical extent of vote.
Okay. What is this?
Switch over to him real quick.
Oh, please, yes.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Jesus. The
My
suffering.
brother. Josiah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, bro? What a crazy set of days, huh? What an insane election yesterday. How you doing?
Man, it's been a relaxing day. It's been very productive. I have not been particularly online. I've been muting and blocking people left, right, and center. I went to go watch my wife play flag football. I took the dog with me. I'm back after cleaning the house. I'm soaking in the tub, and I'm getting ready to call it a night. And I was going to wind down listening to your stream, and then I was listening to the previous conversation, and that was not relaxing at all, buddy. Gotta say, I was very confused.
So talk us through that. Like, let's be honest about something here. You have been a stalwart defender of the following, which is the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican. This is something you've said.
Catchphrases.
Time immemorial. Yes.
You actually owe me money by uttering it right now.
Yeah, I'll give you a $2 copay, whatever.
Yeah, just Venmo me. It's fine.
This is a principle that you've always held, right? You also held to the following.
This is not true. The worst Democrat is better than the best Republican. Like, would we say that like Fetterman and Manchin and Sinema were better than like Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, who fucking torpedoed their entire political lives to do the J6 commission? Or yeah, I mean, did he say Republican or MAGA Republican? I don't know.
Republican. This is something you're a defender of the following, which is the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican. This is something you've said.
Catchphrases.
Time immemorial. Yes.
You actually owe me money by uttering it right now.
I'll give you a $2 copay, whatever.
Yeah, just Venmo me. It's fine.
This is a principle that you've always held, right? You also held to the following principle. That lefties, even who you disagree with vehemently, are quote unquote more proximate allies than, as a relative matter, than a MAGA Republican. By which you just mean they're willing to endorse, or they're closer in terms of voting tendencies and power tendencies towards getting a Democrat, in office as opposed to not, right?
Correct. They are at least at some point useful or aligned in getting at least some Democrats elected over Republicans. Right? But they are more proximate allies in the sense that they are not at all times enemies.
Correct. And I really think that this notion of allyship and enemyship and coalition stuff is all relative to a given set of aims. And I recall the Abraham Lincoln conversation from the movie Lincoln with, now I'm not remembering the name of the radical Republican that he talked to.
I think rather than the weird, like rationalizing all these guys are going to be trying to do, the easiest way to just understand this is that I don't think that, I just don't think they have disagreements with like the commie types that are that big. Like for the most part, they're generally aligned. I think that's the only possible way that you can understand these conversations. But when you look at it through that framing, I think all of this stuff just kind of makes a lot more sense.
Thaddeus
Stevens, that's right.
Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Where he's like, now we will come to oppose each other in the course of time. Right now, I'm asking you to support this amendment, whatever, right? I don't know if you remember that. And he's asking him to like go down his rhetoric. That's the way in which I see a lot of this, where it's like there is a purpose, there is a goal, and with respect to that goal, they're closer in that respect.
100%.
And so I don't know what is controversial or new about that perspective. It just seems like it's a follow-on of everything that you've said now for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, why do you think that? Let's take Keith Edwards for example. Keith Edwards comes on. He's chatting in Hutch's YouTube comments, right? He comes on and he says some things that are dumb, or I would say DSA brained takes.
Very.
And
incredibly.
Like says some shitty things that we don't agree with in terms of Democrats wanting Trump to win. In terms
of like what they're going to do, the thing that I said earlier, all of these things somehow become like externalized. Like he did kind of a dumb thing, or he said some dumb things, but they're not actually indicative of his overall beliefs, or they wouldn't impact the way that we view him. It was just like it was a dumb thing, and that can be analyzed like completely and totally independently from how we view him as a political commentator, actor, person, or whatever.
Of well, it comes from the ground, bro. This oil. I'm sure that you don't take that simplistic look, and I'm sure that.
Wait, hold on. Fuck. Right, relink me the. What was that Hassan clip? Or that live. Hold on.
That you are way more, and I've heard you be more punitive towards Hassan Piker than he was unwilling to say anything like that.
Got it.
Why then have you heard this, like you were too polite to him, you were too nice to him? What's your reaction?
Yeah, and I think to some extent that's true. So I met Keith at the DNC, and just one time, and he asked for my phone number then because he was a content creator, and we were all networking then, and we don't stay in touch all that much. And he's kind of like at an outer level, like I'm in constant contact with Luke and Adam. They're close friends of mine, and I consider them actual friends and not just peers in this space.
This makes a lot more sense too, because I'm pretty sure that entire like coalition has decided that like there will be no punching left. It's always going to be exclusively a focus on Trump. So this checks with what I was contemplating before. Yeah.
Mike Nellis is getting close to that level. But Keith, I mean, we encountered each other once at the DNC, and then I think when I had a copyright strike on my channel over which you and I talked about, a lot of people in the space cover the same sort of material, and so I sent like text messages out to everybody in the space, like, hey, be on your guard, David Packman, Jack Cottarella, Keith, and so that's basically the gist of it. And so when they asked to bring Keith onto the stream, I knew I had to direct line to him. I said, well, I'll ask. Keith did not perform well. It was actually stunningly atrocious. And I'm one of those people, especially if I don't hate somebody, like Keith again and I are not particularly close, and to whatever extent we were close at all, I would say that just basically burned at this point. When I don't hate somebody, and sometimes even when I intensely dislike somebody, I get what's called secondhand embarrassment. So I'm one of those people that, if my wife is watching like cringe reality TV, I can't watch that shit because I feel bad for the person involved. And so obviously you guys were grilling Keith pretty hard. And so I felt like I needed to be a bit gentle, kind of like the approach that IRI was taking, right? Just be a bit more diplomatic.
Just to be clear, IRI took the exact same approach that you did. And I really, I kind of view some of this as like the distinction.
So that's not true. I think the weird part was that it felt like Josiah was cleaning up Keith's statements significantly. I don't know where this idea that he wasn't participating in the conversation at all, or was just getting secondhand embarrassment and all that. That's not my recollection. My recollection is he was like significantly laundering the guy's statements, but okay.
Distinctions between you and IRI, we were all pretty much united in our overall dispositions, both on the Wick conversation and, frankly, on the Keith Edwards conversations. But sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, so like I didn't want to pile on. If I have a particular animus towards a person or their views, then, but like even with Wick, like when I popped on, what did I say when I first joined? I said, well, I'm basically just going to take a back seat. And for the most part, I didn't engage with Wick. I corrected him on like the state delegation thing in the House of Representatives, but other than that, I didn't really join the dog pile. And so I took kind of a similar view or similar proposition with Keith, except the difference is, not that I think that Wick did particularly well making his point, but he certainly did a hell of a lot better than Keith did. He wasn't stammering and stumbling over his words, visibly uncomfortable, visibly, at sea. And so I felt even more.
He was able to,
but even with it. Yeah, but even with a more confident and assertive Wick, I still kind of pulled my punches because everyone was, basically batting him around like a pinata, and I just don't think it was fair. Even though he obviously, was fine with it. He also
can I say something perhaps controversial though?
Sure.
That's all true, right? We know Wick more. We've been around Wick more. We know Wick can take it more. But there's another thing here too, which is Wick's substantive opinions triggered me more than average DSA slop, right?
There we go. I wish we could just open with that. That's the issue. You didn't actually disagree with Keith that much. You mega disagreed with Wick, who theoretically should be more in line with our views than Keith, but yeah, I guess. I mean, than the actual stated views, but maybe the internal views are the ones that aren't as publicized. Maybe they do have a stronger sense of like DSA-esque political beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you agree with that, but it does.
Oh, sure, of course, right? I mean, because we regard MAGA as the greater threat, and our professional disposition is towards like combating MAGA. And so when we have somebody who's nominally an ally in the space, Wick, do things that we think undermine that effort, of course, it's going to trigger a more emotional response and frustrate us more. So I totally agree. Like I was more frustrated with Wick than I was Keith. Like there was more indifference to it, except for the cringe that I felt at the time watching him try to go through this. Right, it was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. And so yeah, but I mean, even then, like I tried to challenge it. I pushed back on the Hassan Piker thing, for instance. Encouraging him to revisit his opinions on Hassan as a close ally of the Democratic Party. Of course, now what's funny is
you did express that view, for which you don't get credit at all. No
right,
good grace.
Yeah, and right. No, it's actually go through this. Right, it was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. Cringe more. So I totally agree. Like I was more frustrated with Wick than I was Keith. Like there was more indifference to it, except for the cringe that I felt at the time watching him try to go through this. Right, it was truly profoundly embarrassing to watch. And so yeah, but I mean, even then, like I tried to challenge it. I pushed back on the Hassan Piker thing, for instance. Encouraging him to revisit his opinions on Hassan as a close ally of the Democratic Party. Of course, now what's funny is
you did express that view, for which you don't get credit at all. No
right.
Good grace.
Yeah. Right. No, 100%. And so, like, well,
just as a heads up, because everybody treats all of these conversations with kids clubs, and it might just be at the end of the day, these guys just want to network, maybe. I don't fucking know. But, like, Hassan Piker explicitly endorses, like, terrorism. Like, explicitly endorses terrorism. Not even just explicitly endorses terrorism, like, explicitly endorses and has endorsed, like, terrorist attacks. Like, so far beyond the pale of, like, if I were to tell somebody like this is not involved in politics, or 99% of the Democratic Party, since nobody ever actually confronts him on this or plays these clips, right? They would think that, like, so you're saying Hassan said what? That they would probably imagine that he's saying that October 7th was understandable, and it's like, no. He has taken explicit terrorist acts and supported them. Is he saying, like, in service of them ending, like, a genocide, like, he can understand? It's like, no. He has watched multiple terrorist attacks happening on stream and supported those terrorist attacks. He's given justifications for them, and then he has watched them on Twitch and said they were based in cool. And then he's also brought on somebody and interviewed them who claimed to be a Houthi terrorist and supported him the entire time. That's the level that we're talking about now. The idea that we would like this is a worse performance of things that I would imagine to be aligned with than like a Nick Fuentes. Like, it would be easier for me to say that, like, I could see there are some Nazis that you might have agreements with on things or whatever, blah, 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 versus like, oh yeah, Hassan, like, he's definitely the tent, but like, maybe we should push back on something. Like, that's just, we're so far out to sea on these takes. And then, these guys will always like play up the, oh, well, I think you're just obsessed or whatever. And it's like, that's where we're at right now. Like, we have to be supporting people and having people in our coalition that support terrorist attacks against the West. Like, and not like they blew up a military base in an unethical way, or they bombed like a plane. Like, just full on civilian level, sometimes terrorist attacks is that should be an easy too far beyond the pale. But
well, I mean, I assume that's the case, but like, I've been, like I said, muting conversations, muting people and blocking people who, like, I don't mind somebody critiquing me or somebody disagreeing with me, and me, I tend to engage with people like I'm an addict in this space.
You go into the trenches. You've done it on Immunity.
Yeah,
you've done it on all that stuff.
Yeah, but like, I guess I'm at the point now, especially when it comes from like communities that I suppose I thought were at least Confederates, directionally speaking. Like, that actually, like, as irritated as I get with, or used to get with Ryan McNally, I never blocked him, right? But I've been blocking various people left, right, and center in the past like week or so, just because like I don't have time for this shit. But that's okay. Like, it's genuine.
I wonder. I'm so curious if this comes up behind the scenes at all. Is it like, don't say Destiny, don't say DGG? Like, it has to be like boogeyman language also as well. I feel like the tactics and the strategies like become so ubiquitous, at least on the far left. It's just so weird. I don't know. Whatever.
Genuinely been a peaceful day. I've been, back.
Did he block you? He didn't block me, but he blocked Conduit. And this is like very obviously, like, he's saying right now, I've been getting so much pushback against the, what did he say? Right, left, center, whatever. Like, from the right? What, really? No, come on.
I don't have time for this shit. But that's okay. Like, it's genuinely been a peaceful day. I've been, back at my usual routine and whatever. And so the thing is, I just got to stay in my lane in the sense that, I'm not a streamer. You and Hutch are streamers, and IRI's a streamer. Soy Pill, is certainly more of a streamer than I am. He does it more regularly. And you guys don't have the same schedule as I do. And not to say that my life's harder or whatever, but like, my cup runneth over. Yeah, my cup runneth over. And like, I hired an editor, and he's going to start full time on Monday. But like, that's not going to give me much respite because, we've launched Facebook recently, and we're trying to grow that. I'm going to be on Substack as well. So I'm going to be working still all the time. But the point is, as much as I do enjoy going into like live stream.
Does Hassan pressing his thumb on the scale by uplifting Pisco on his streams play a role in the brain breaking? I don't know. They might. it's hard to know 100% how much it impacts things. I imagine it probably does to some extent because there's a reason why all of them engage this way with online content creators. But
Stream debates and Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, and popping in on Live and Learn, especially when baited by Soy Pill and by Hutch and by Wick.
At Destiny, your fans do a lot more attacking now. Even IRI banned super easily. Yeah, I think I'm okay with it though. I think we should be more. It's harder now, obviously, because now we're in a don't let the power corrupt or whatever bullshit. But I think that if we choose good positions, it should be very easy to just not support terrorism. I'm sorry, that should be an easy and obvious bridge too far. And when we're saying that like the people who are worshiping terrorist attacks are directionally supportive of us, that's not directionally supportive of me. That's absolutely not. I have zero desire to be in or promote a political party that is outwardly and explicitly aligning itself with people that support terrorists that are attacking the West. And I would have assumed that would have easily been a bridge too far. That's like I wouldn't even have to consider this as being like a debated position. These are the caricaturized positions that conservatives used to accuse Democrats of holding. So I don't know. That's a very, very, very easy to me.
It is fun, and I don't regret, the other night in the conversation with Wick and Keith, I did have a good time. The problem is like my schedule is just like I really need to. Adam doesn't do this. Luke doesn't do this. Like people in my space who do what I do, who are not streamers, there's a reason that they don't like make themselves as available on like Twitter Spaces. And so you don't have the time for this shit. And when you do, you have finite energy. And so like every single time, like it just fucks up the rest of the day in terms of like my workload. So I'm definitely taking
What?
Did I miss anything good?
No, just the daily slop.
Someone said you were debating somebody.
Nope. Who said that?
Oh. Well, I don't know. I checked my mentions. They said Mr. Moon would have hated this guy and screamed at him in 3 minutes. Something.
Well, we were probably listening to somebody else debating somebody. Bitch.
Or
massive step back. I've committed to that, and the only reason I popped in when you asked is also because this is not a debate, and so I'm not going to be here for like 3 hours.
Does Josiah really see someone like Keith or even Hassan as being on the same axis as us, just more? He can't be that politically illiterate. The problem is that, especially if you're from Europe, you in America, we really only have like liberalism for my lifetime. Like it's only very recently that these kind of like illiberal things have started to pop up, and Americans really don't understand or have any way to engage with any of these more radical or these like I hate this illiberal because we abuse the fuck out of this word, but like these more like I mean like these illiberal.
Illiberal's the word.
Yeah, ideologies. And the only reason why I can even deal with it at all is just because we spent so much time like debating Nazis and stuff that it kind of I don't know what you say, primed me, prepped me, or helped me understand how some of these ideologies work in the abstract. Just because otherwise, I don't know when the fuck I would have been dealing with like weird anti-liberal belief systems. But outside of that, like in the United States, you just don't typically deal with it. It's just not a thing. Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that, I appreciate that, and yeah, it's true that like I don't see Beasley Mockler at all doing like regular streams and being generally accessible. Now maybe there is.
Yeah, I mean, technically Beasley streams every day, but it's like he does like Hackman does. He streams his whole show, right? It's like a show. It's like an organized thing, and yes, he'll read super chats, but it's not like he's playing video games and fucking around, just reading random court cases or as you do, and others like it's what we all do in this space, except he live streams it, and then afterwards his editors go back and then they carve up the individual sections and post it for the rest of the day.
Okay, so before you have to go, I just want to get your take overall on the response to El Sayed's victory. I was like very pleased with how the powers that be, Stevens herself, all like seemingly major Democrats are calling for unity against Mike Rogers. And I think more and more it
100%.
Demonstrates that like more than they are distinct, the Democrats, both voter and representative and leader, are more unified against MAGA than they are disunified. And a lot of these like fractures, yes, they're real in the primary context, but in the bigger picture, towards the general, it's kind of more online, and there aren't that many people.
Like, just to be clear, I don't know what Pisco's level of engagement is past online stuff. Like, what he's describing, that's not unique to this electoral season. Like, Democrats have always been like that. Like, again, that the Hillary Obama primary, that was a very, very, very contentious primary for a lot of reasons. And the Democratic Party came together after that. Like, generally, the Democratic Party does come together after these things. Like, the issue has always been the fact that it's the lefties that won't and haven't and didn't. And the non-committed movement and all this stuff. Like, that's been the issue. Like, to pretend he's like giving credit here, like, oh, the Democrats came together, and so that shows that all the contention that people are having is just like online stuff. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of always the complaint, is that we should be able to all come together politically, and it shouldn't be these huge like they're all genocide supporters, so we're not going to support the candidate and blah blah blah. But
I want apologies when their candidate loses in 2028. I want apologies.
Well, we don't know. Who knows what 2028 will be like?
That's true.
Like, let's vote for the MAGA Republican over El Sayed if you're a faithful Democratic voter. I don't believe that is a major position. So I just want to get your reaction to El Sayed's victory and the follow-on from that.
Oh, I mean, like I love the fact that the people, it was just like it was a domino. It was just like one right after another, and it happened in such rapid succession. So yeah, so you had McMurrow obviously was the first one out the gate to publicly endorse El Sayed, and then she obviously spoke at the victory speech. She was the one who.
I've read this a lot, but I don't know if it's true. If it is true, this is kind of ironic. But do you know if this is true? I heard that on the debate stage, that Haley Stevens explicitly stated that she would endorse whoever the winner was. So if Abdul,
I don't remember off the top of my head now, but I would assume that she would.
I heard that she stated that, but that Abdul wouldn't make the same statement. Can anybody link me that, or is that true, or can I? Because I don't want to repeat that. It's just like an anti-Abdul talking point.
Oh, I feel like he said he was just going to win or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm curious how true that is. On the debate stage, she already did endorse him. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that during the primaries when they were running, that I think I've read. That's what I'm saying. I don't know for sure, but I've read that Haley Stevens said that she would endorse Abdul if she lost, but that Abdul wouldn't make the same statement, which would be a little bit ironic.
Introduced him, and it was a very warm and congenial introduction. Of course, he didn't just accept that. El Sayed reciprocated.
Are you not worried that you're going to alienate every other lib content creator who is blue no matter who? Pisco, Josiah, maybe IRA soon, maybe even Hutch eventually, maybe not, because it feels like things were finally returning to normal. I've never been a big like team sports aligned guy who wants to be on everybody's side or whatever. I will never ever be part of a political movement that endorses anti-West terrorist attacks. That's like so far beyond the pale for me. That's like a crazy. I would just rather not. Yeah, I don't know how to. I feel like that.
It's pretty self-evident.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
The generosity and the magnanimity, but to have Governor Whitmer, not just like issue a written statement, but to go on video and endorse.
What candidate is endorsing terrorist attacks? There are no candidates that I'm aware of yet, but Hassan Piker openly endorses and celebrates like anti-Western terrorist attacks. It's fucking crazy.
Jocelyn Benson and Abdul, and then for Pete Buttigieg, who's another, he's relocated. He lives in Traverse City now, so he's a big Michigander now. And so for him to endorse Senator Peters, the incumbent Democratic senator who's on his way out the door, whose vacancy that they are vying to fill, he endorsed Abdul. Chuck Schumer endorsed Abdul. It was uniform. Yeah, Vice President Harris did as well. I'm sure President Biden would, but I don't know if it'd be much like electoral benefit for.
Can you pause right there, because it seems like all these champions of the moderate center Democrats are doing the.
The problem with blue no matter who. Okay. I asked her afterwards if she would endorse and campaign for El Sayed if she lost the primary. Absolutely. I'm on the team. I'm so proud to be on the team. She said, Mike Rogers wants to rubber stamp Donald Trump. I'm going to do everything I can. That's why I've been a part of the process right now. I'd be excited and honored to earn the nomination, but we're going to finish this election and we're going to win. Okay. So I asked El Sayed the same question later that night. Would he endorse and campaign for Stevens if she lost? I'm committed to beating Mike Rogers. I've said that so many times, he said. I noted that wasn't precisely a yes. As I've said, I'm going to do everything I need to defeat Mike Rogers. I wonder if he knew that Stevens had been asked the same question earlier. So this wasn't like on stage or anything. It was a little bit more, I guess, like undercover, but okay.
Sure, why can't you just say, if the other person wins, I'll endorse him? I don't understand why that's beyond the pale for any political person in the Democrats.
Yeah,
I could see.
I think the issue is
wouldn't.
Sure, I think the issue is, and I think it depends on the context where it comes up. Is that I think it's considered kind of rude to ask during a primary if somebody would, but maybe that norm is changing because it gives this impression of like you're not going to win. So I'm not sure what the norm is right now. Actually, I don't have to go back and check, but yeah.
But if one is saying, everybody gets asked.
Yeah, and if one is saying it, I think you probably should. Yeah.
Yeah.
Praxis are doing the thing that they should be doing, then surely their underlings or their supporters, Haley Stevens voters, should now obviously El Sayed has an obligation to try to appeal to them, right? We would never say that he doesn't have an obligation. But in terms of what they should do, they should follow what their champions are doing immediately and without any equivocation. Support El Sayed. Just like, by the way, I was ready. If Haley Stevens won, I was ready to endorse her the minute that was
You had
called.
that post drafted. I saw
drafted,
the amount of praise. The amount of praise you foisted on her. It was unbelievable. How she was the greatest candidate. She won the best, or she ran the best congressional race you've ever seen. I mean, no, in all seriousness, like, yeah. I mean, you know, you got to be consistent with the methodology and with the standard of vote blue, no matter who. Now, at the same time, and we talked about this. We talked about this at the time. I don't begrudge. You know, I don't begrudge Hutch and others as well. And I'm not going to pretend that there's not some selfish bit of schadenfreude on my part too. That, you know, the tables have turned somewhat, and so you can at least like throw a jab there and troll. Like, I don't mind that. I really don't, because I do think two things have to be done here. I think that we all have to unify behind a candidate, no matter who the candidate is, when the alternative is a fascist Republican. But also, I do think the secondary order of business is that the libs and the left have to come to some sort of mutual understanding that this standard, you know, even though it has not been consistent, it really needs to be, because libs are people too. And even though libs are falling in line, if the standard goes unreciprocated for too long, I do fear eventually that, perhaps not with Abdul, maybe it will be Francesca Hong, or maybe it will be Abdul, like, we just don't know, that eventually, at some point, a candidate that the leftist flank of the Democratic Party is really excited about wins the primary, but does lose a winnable race in the general, because the libs decide to do, man, I'm trying to think what, was it Dragon Age, or was it the Hobbit trilogy, where like the elves saw, you know, where like the elves and Thranduil like turned the army away rather than come to the aid of, you know, the dwarves, like, you know what I'm saying, like during the defense of the mountain or whatever, like basically, like, instead of showing up as the cavalry, basically just to stick it to the leftists and say, okay, we've experienced this before, now you're going to experience the same thing in a tit for tat, and maybe next time you'll say, okay, fuck, we did this, now it was done to us, we don't like it, so okay, touche, and now we need to come to an understanding. I do fear that that could happen. I'm not saying that it should happen. I don't support that, and I oppose that, but libs are people too. It's kind of like how when I say that when a politician that you may not like, either because they're too left or too lib, but they do something that you want, you need to give them their flowers. You need to give them their support, right? Because if you don't, these politicians are human, right? And if they don't get that positive reinforcement, if they do what you ask and you don't reward them, if you renege on the implicit commitment, the implicit arrangement, they will eventually get frustrated and seek that support elsewhere. And that will not redound to the benefit of your movement. So I think it's in everybody's best interest. And quite frankly, you know, I've heard, you know, like I've thought about, you know, and I'm still toying around with this, like having conversations, maybe like another interview with like Wajah Ali or Kyle Kalinske or Crystal Ball or even Mehdi, you know, and bringing that up during the course of the conversation. Like, do you fear now that it's a preferred candidate, you know, and not that Mehdi did this, you know, Mehdi was very clear during the 2024 election that Vice President Harris was the preferable candidate, and that people, he went, you know, he caught a lot of slings because slings and arrows, because he was telling other, you know, Muslim Americans and Arab Americans and Palestinian Americans, you know, do not vote for Trump and do not sit out this election. You will come to regret it.
He still
and he
calls
caught a lot
out.
of shit.
He still does it. Go for it.
Well, no. So my point is, but like, I am interested enough that I do think I want to have a conversation with some of the other leftist creators, just like academically. Like,
we'll see.
Have you thought about, basically, now that the shoe's on the other foot, that a sufficient number of libs, even if not the politicians themselves, but maybe some of the electors, just because Haley Stevens has endorsed Abdul El-Sayed doesn't guarantee that all of her supporters will. It's entirely possible that a sufficient number, perhaps an outcome determinative number of her own supporters, because there's bad blood there, will not endorse Abdul El-Sayed just because she will, right? And so, like, I do want to ask that question of, like, more leftist creators who were either sympathetic to leftists withholding their support for President Biden or Vice President Harris. You know, are you worried about that? And what would you say to libs who are now in a position to fuck the left over the way they feel that the left fucked them over? I do want to see them grapple with that. So, but I hope it doesn't come to us sabotaging ourselves and inadvertently electing a MAGA Republican.
No, I totally agree with that. What do you make of the following? Like, I agree that's a real dynamic with some influencers and with some outspoken people and organized.
Uh-oh.
Mid-Marv, you're literally asking me to go and support fucking Hong when she's campaigning with somebody who calls for Stephen's death multiple times a fucking month. Yeah, you can literally go fuck yourself in the ass.
Damn.
I don't care. That's my fucking line. I'm good.
Damn. So mean.
He's over here saying, well, that's why MAGA won. You're just like them.
At Mr. Putin, the shrug is also why the GOP continues to win. We are in an asymmetric war with a party that doesn't have mutins. So you'd vote for someone who went on to Rogan, whose podcast led to this with thousands from vaccine denial, etc. The GOP continues to win. Well, when the GOP does win, it's because they're acting like how we want to act. Like, the way that you're advocating for us to act is not why the GOP won. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. Like, the issue is that we aren't willing to come together and support the candidate. I feel like it's the exact opposite argument that you're making, but is that a new account?
It's like a month old, yeah.
Based. Okay.
organizers, no doubt about that. But among like the actual electorate and voting population, I feel like it's not representative of them. Like I feel like the left by and large came through for Kamala when we're just talking about voters, right? Like,
and then now we're going to play the same game where we equivocate on what we mean when we say the left, or what we mean when we're going to pretend like, well, the voters came through, which they did, by the way. Most people that voted for Bernie, most people that voted for any leftist DSA type thing or socialist type thing, most of them do come out and vote Democrat. That is true. But that's not what we're talking about. Like, nobody has made that claim that most of the people that supported Bernie or most of the people that supported whatever leftist ended up not voting for the candidate. But it's not about what most of the people did. It's about the messaging from the top of their political establishments. And that messaging is that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. Otherwise, what was the unaligned movement?
So yeah, the polling data shows that the idea that there was like it's the same thing in 2016. Like the overwhelming majority of Bernie supporters voted for Vice President Harris. I mean, this really is not like this, but it is an issue on the margins, and the margins can determine elections, right? So I
don't understand where this has to be bad faith at this point from Josiah and Pisco to continually misunderstand this point and to play this game over and over and over again. It has to be bad faith, and I don't know if it's like a thing to get on some other larger streamer's good side or what. I don't understand how they can continue to mind fuck themselves over this point over and over again. Nobody has ever claimed ever on our side. Nobody has ever said the majority of socialist identifying people don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Hassan's fans don't vote for Democrats. The majority of Bernie supporters, nobody has ever made that claim. These guys have think of the straw, the poor straw that has been reconstructed over and over again as this tired, played out straw man to pretend that anybody's saying. I don't understand how like I keep saying this stupid fucking argument that nobody's ever made. Ugh.
I take your point, and I totally agree. This is not reflective of the left or the online left or Bernie supporters or whatever.
Yeah,
I totally categorically reject that. There's no data to support that.
I think Kamala Harris outperformed Bernie by like a point or something, and AOC outperformed Kamala Harris by a few points perhaps. But like to me, there's not enough of a sample to suggest that there's this like overriding trend of this not occurring. And maybe that data exists, and if it exists, we're interested in it. Like we're interested in it because I think it bears on.
Nobody has ever said that. Nobody's ever made this claim ever. The history of all of online debating kind about this topic, but they keep pretending that this claim is being made, despite being told over and over again that that's not the claim being made. And they're like, "Well, if we had data of this, we would support." It's like nobody has ever said this. I don't know who's making this argument.
Maybe some of these issues of moral culpability, it bears certainly on strategy and that kind of stuff. But I've just not seen. I think that, but I do think it's like a dynamic that's real online and influencers and certain organizers, and that's causing a lot of consternation. You go for it.
Oh, 100%. And I just saw one of your chatters there, say like now libs know what it's like to be a Bernie supporter in 2016. I guess I don't follow because actually I think like he said that libs are going to have to make some genuine concessions. Well, actually, when it comes to Abdul al-Sayed, unless you just take for granted that an outcome determinative number of Stevens supporters, Democratic voters, liberals are just going to go ahead and support him, which honestly, on balance of probability is probably true. Like the truth is he probably doesn't, like it's not guaranteed that he will lose if he doesn't like bend over backwards to court Haley voters.
Yeah.
Just because we tend to close ranks.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, if anybody's going to need to make concessions in this particular race, it's going to have to be
the left.
Abdul is going to moderate. Abdul is going to, drift towards the center, and we actually see it already with in the past 24 hours, not just in terms of his rhetoric and how he's talked about, Haley Stevens and her supporters mending fences and building bridges, but also, Chris Hayes tonight on MS Now hit him with that quote by Hassan that's gone viral, and you can just see it on Abdul's face. Like, he's like, I just want to strangle that motherfucker. Like, you can see it. And he basically is like, listen, he's a streamer. He's entitled to his view. That's not my view. My view is that we need to build bridges and mend fences. And that's what this campaign is about.
We don't need to cancel Thanksgiving. And we don't need to do 9/11.
Right. And I think, I don't have the quote on me, but I do think like there was a follow-up about like, will you campaign with him or something like that? Could be hallucinating. He's like, I'm really focused on winning the general.
Wow. What a crazy solidification there of where he stands on it. Thank you so much. True. Nice.
She's focused.
I'm just a politician. I don't know about what this other guy said that has shown up with me the day before my election and that I'm standing alongside. I don't know anything.
Who the hell is that guy?
Who that one? I don't know that we do.
Suggesting that kind of like Zoran Mamdani, he's going to have to really distance himself from Hassan now. And so Abdul recognizes that he has an obligation to try to court the votes of Haley Stevens supporters and just other Democratic voters and as many people as humanly possible. And that's always the case. Vice President Harris had that obligation. When people say, because sometimes people get mad at us when we get frustrated, you're like, well, Harris had an obligation to win people over. That's true, right? The candidate's job is to persuade people to turn out for him, her. And Harris failed. I failed as a major political commentator because I clearly wasn't able to make that case persuasively. And so was everybody else in the space. And the voters themselves failed as well because they made the wrong decision and were dealing with at least 4 years of fascism. So we all have a moral obligation. We all have agency and we all have a duty to try to come together. But I don't think now that we're in the general, I don't think it's the quote unquote liberals who are going to have to make concessions of Abdul El-Sayed. I think if concessions are demanded, it will be from liberals, and Abdul will be forced to make them, not the other way around.
I want to respond to a super chat and also a follow-on comment from Demiurge, who said, vote blue no matter who only works if both factions adhere to it, and only works when you apply it in the general election. I guess I don't understand what you mean by that. It only works if both factions adhere to it. I just take vote blue no matter who, and again, where there's obviously everyone has a threshold, everyone has like, this bar is too far. It's a recommendation for individuals. And I don't know what about that, quote unquote, doesn't work if you have a group of cynical influencers who don't adhere to it for their own clout and purposes, especially when the overwhelming voting trend seems to be that both factions do adhere to it. But like, even assuming that weren't the case, vote blue no matter who is just like a prescription for what's the right thing to do, right? And that's true whether or not everyone does do the right thing.
I don't understand how somebody can be so smart on some discrete things, but like, so fucking retarded on macro concepts. It's like, when we say all hands on deck, what we mean is that it's just morally good to go up and top and help on deck. That's what we mean. Even if not everybody is helping. And it's like, no, that's literally not what it means. What it means is we need everybody here, and that's what we're saying, all hands on deck. We need everybody to do something. If not everybody does it, it doesn't work. That's what the phrase means. It implies the necessity for everybody to participate. Like, not for some people to choose and for other people not to. Jesus.
Maybe you're saying something else, like,
you're not a captain, so.
What? We're not what?
You're not a captain, so.
True.
How can you know?
Well, no, I think this is worth talking about. Like, vote blue no matter who, the virtue of that prescription is that you increase the likelihood of electing Democrats, and Democrats are, as a general proposition, better than Republicans. And the truth is, the cold hard truth of it is, that vote blue no matter who works, even if only a certain percentage of the electorate subscribes to it. So,
not if you selectively subscribe to it. This is just an exploit. It's just an exploit for how your political movement will be treated. We will always support the candidate as long as the candidate aligns with us in a small area. And then for the large people, well, you guys will always support the candidate. All you are doing is creating a ratchet effect where they understand that when it's a candidate they don't like, then they won't support him. And when it's a candidate they do like, they will support him. And then we have to do this no matter what rhetoric only benefits those people, because they know that no matter what their actions are, they can create an environment where it becomes EV positive to always support their candidate, because they'll support theirs, but they won't support yours. So I guess we have to support theirs because they won't support ours, and it makes theirs more electable. Like, this is a ratchet effect. I don't understand how this is so difficult to understand.
Yes, ideally, not just for, not just to maximize the efficacy of vote blue no matter who, but also I think for just a personal sense of justice. We want everybody in the quote unquote coalition or the lib-left coalition or the lib-left team or whatever we're calling it, the people who are from never Trump Republicans all the way to, AOC and Zoran Mamdani, whatever you call that group. We want everybody to get on board with the idea of vote blue no matter who. But even if people betray the principle, those of us who adhere to it regardless, those of us.
If people betray the principle is no longer a principle. If applied selectively, it's just a way to attack you. Like, if I found out in the United States that half the country, for some reason, like absent our tax code, but just like wasn't paying taxes and there was no penalty, like they were on paper supposed to and they just didn't, well, fuck that. Why the fuck would I pay taxes? That's not a morally virtuous thing to do. Or much the same right now, if we think that taxes should be increased, I'm not going to volunteer extra money. No, make it a law. You have to do a thing where like everybody has to be playing by the same rule set.
Who adhere to it regardless. Like, it's not a zero-sum game. By adhering to vote blue no matter who, even when others don't, you are still increasing the likelihood that Democrats get elected. Now, again,
it's not about if Democrats get elected. It's also about what a Democrat is or what it means to be a Democrat. What are the chances you think that Kermie is more blur on an alt? Is it, though? Just because they don't live by their principles doesn't mean we shouldn't live by our principles. People don't pay for the bus all the time, but I still do because I think it is the right thing to do. If people don't pay for the bus, they get arrested or they get fined. That's a law. You have to do that. And if somebody catches you not doing it, you'll get in trouble. Would you still pay for the bus if we decided arbitrarily there was some group of people, if you're over 6'2", or if you're a woman or whatever, you don't have to pay your bus fare, and it was just like a randomly arbitrary thing? Or not that we decided that those people just didn't? Like, no, there's no virtue in acting independently if you need everybody to solve a problem. There's no virtue in that.
Pretty girls don't have to pay for drinks at bars.
True.
Maximizing the efficacy and the range of it. That's where you want everybody to get on board. But no, it is not a zero-sum game where if the left doesn't do it, it's bad for liberals to do it. If electing Democrats is something you consider to be good, then you...
We don't! Then now you have to torture like what they mean ontologically by the terms or semantically. What is the semantic content of the word Democrat, right? Well, it's always good to elect a Democrat. That's not true. If Nick Fuentes ran as a Democrat, I don't think I would want to elect him. Just having the D next to their name, I can't believe that we even have to clarify this, but like it implies that there is some semantic content to the term Democrat, that there is some shared belief system. Now, it doesn't have to map completely on, and there's probably plenty of room in a particular party, even for you to disagree on things, on affirmative action or DEI or what should gun control. Like, if there's some guy who was like on me most of the way and they thought that we should ban all assault rifles throughout the United States, like, I think it's retarded, but like, that's, yeah, fine, that's a disagreement that we can have. But supporting terrorism? No, come the fuck on. This is not like a vote blue no matter who, even if the blue guy is a terrorist supporter. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You should do it even when leftists don't do it.
Here's the next follow-on from Demi, where it says, the main criticism is that you are more tolerant of the Kalinske types who failed to do the right thing when it mattered. No one is talking about the voters. If we're just talking about influencers, we have all criticized Kalinske for that action. And so I don't understand in what sense we're more tolerant than we should be. Are you suggesting that we don't ever collaborate with Kyle Kalinske, that we don't ever be polite to Kyle Kalinske? Because I don't understand why that is a good instrument.
And then he also keeps playing this autistically retarded, like, what do you want us to do? I don't know what you want us to do. It's like, cover them like you cover any person on the right. You can see what you need to do. Go to your YouTube channel, look at how you do videos on Sean Hannity and Fox News and Bill Maher. Just like that. Like, you know what? Then this, oh my God. It has to be bad faith. So it's the CIA PSYOP of like how to exhaust a movement. And then these are like the strategies that you play out over and over and over again. And they work because they just wear everybody down and exhaust the energy.
Why is it good for our movement for me to, be needlessly aggressive towards Kyle Kalinske, especially?
Why is it good for our movement to be, and then needlessly, like, tautologically, it's never good for you to needlessly do anything. Needlessly, in the word, begs the question of whether it's needed. No, it's not. Needlessly means without need, so you shouldn't do it. What, like, even the phrasing of these propositions is insane.
Especially in the context where we have literal clips of him saying, I was wrong. I mean, Josiah provided that to me in DMs where he literally says it. And putting that aside, I'm sometimes polite and nice and collaborative with people I vehemently disagree with. So I don't understand the prescription. We are criticizing where there are areas that we disagree. When he calls, a Democrat MAGA light, I don't agree with those terminology. I don't agree that that's a smart thing to do. And I criticize it, right? I don't agree that he should do it. But that doesn't mean what about that is inconsistent with our practice, all right? We criticize when appropriate. What about our...
I will believe everything that both of these guys say, and I will stop saying I think they're being bad faith. If I see them make a single video praising Nick Fuentes genuinely when he speaks out against MAGA, or when he says that he thinks that his fans should vote Democrat. If these guys do like a 10-minute coverage where like, I actually think Nick Fuentes is making really good points here, I actually really appreciate it when he's, then you know what, then I was like, oh, okay, never mind, fine, that's fair.
Criticism is inappropriate, or a lack of criticism. I don't get it.
Yeah, the other thing I just really want to reiterate. So Kyle had a live stream, Kyle Kalinske and Corin. I can't remember what day it was. It may have been the day that the key conversation was had. But Kyle took the question about vote blue no matter who, I think from from some guy from Progressive Victory. And he gave a really long answer, and he apologized and said, look, the truth is I was wrong. And I'm sorry about that. I was wrong.
You don't get credit for after the fact riding the fucking waves. You ride the waves on fuck Dems for so long, and then once the Dems lose the election, and then the focus shifts back on criticizing MAGA, you go like, oh man, fuck, we should have like really done that. Like, what you don't, yeah. This was not a hard call. This is not a hard call. And fine, but then why would we listen to anything you have to say politically past that? If you're clearly unqualified for the moment, like whatever you're supporting now, what guarantee do I have in the future that you're not going to say like, oh, fuck, I made the wrong choice there, guys? Like what?
It was the easiest election of our lifetime.
If you couldn't make that call, then I don't know why anybody would listen to you for any political anything. There's no call here to, like, why listen to this person at all?
When I downplayed the threat of Trump and I didn't endorse the Democratic candidate, the link is out there, the bond is still out there. And he said that, that's why the liberals were right about Donald Trump and the Democratic Party. And, he just gave, I think, a really sincere and candid answer, about how, because I think it also had to do with vote blue no matter who, now that the table has turned, right, and what liberals might do by withholding their support from Abdullah Syed. And, he didn't rant and rave and like, they better fucking fall in line. He was like, I get it, and I hope they don't do that, and we don't need to be smug about it, and we need to, those of us who did not adhere to that standard need to admit that we were wrong. We should have adhered to that standard and adhere to that standard moving forward, which is why I said, if Kyle betrays his commitment, and does what he did in 2024, we don't have to wait until 2028. If he does it in, like I said, I use the example of Michigan, in the event that Stevens won, if he reneged on his apology and his commitment to drag his balls for broken glass, et cetera, and so forth, that would probably be the end of our, our association, or become much more hostile. And two, when people keep going back to 2024, I had no relationship with Kyle in 2024. I just checked on my phone while we were talking. The first interaction I ever had with Kyle Kalinske was on October 19th on Crystal Kyle and Friends with Hutch. Hutch and I debated Crystal and Kyle. It was a good conversation at that time. and at the time, yes, pushing back on the mansion stuff and, how the Green Lantern theory of politics and stuff like that. Like Hutch and I were side by side. It was a civil, productive conversation. Hutch and I had a really good time. Hutch, Kyle, and Crystal were friendly at the time. It only lasted about a year. They eventually fell out again. But that was it. That was the first interaction I had just a few weeks before the election. And then I don't think I can't remember the last, when we had the next interaction after that. But it was well into Trump's second term. So now we have a professional relationship in the sense that we have collaborated. He's been on my show. I've been on his.
He's doing some good work against the Trump regime.
Right.
I mean, we will disagree from time to time on how he frames things, on who he critiques. I disagree with a lot of his framing and assertions about Epstein. I don't hold back from criticism when I have it. But a lot of these prescriptions seem empty as fuck because no one's willing to say don't ever interact cordially with Kyle Kalinske. They just say call him out. I don't see any inconsistency with my behavior or with Josiah's behavior and with what the prescription is.
No, yeah, because again, I can't go back. What I'm not going to do. I mean, he is a massively influential content creator. I think 30 million monthly views. He's bigger than I am. He's one of the most influential in the business. And I'm just not going to needlessly burn that bridge, as far as using it to defeat MAGA. And so far, he has kept true to his word, as best I can tell. He has repeatedly given liberal Democrats their praise while also hammering them in other respects. Yes, he's used Diet MAGA before, but when Newsom passed, he's bigger than I am. Go back. What I'm not going to do. I mean, he's a massively influential content creator. I think 30 million monthly views. He's bigger than I am. He's one of the most influential in the business. And I'm just not going to needlessly burn that bridge, as far as using it to defeat MAGA. And so far, he has kept true to his word, as best I can tell. He has repeatedly given liberal Democrats their praise while also hammering them in other respects. Yes, he's used Diet MAGA before, but when Newsom passed Proposition 50, he celebrated that. Jesus Christ. During the the elections last year, when Mamdani won, Spanberger won, and Cheryl won, Kyle began his stream with the shades on, lighting up a cigar, and it wasn't just about Mamdani, it was all of them. He was celebrating the entire victory. So no, I'm not going to say, well, you fucked up spectacularly in 2024 and 2020, therefore there's no redemption for you. You fucked up in 2020, 2020.
And 2016, by the way.
Before we had any sort of association, and I'm going to hold that against you, and there's no redemption for you. Time moves forward. He has publicly, repeatedly apologized for fucking up. He has given credit to liberals and Democrats for being 100% right on Trump. And, he said, I think he either texted this to me or said it on stream that fuck no, I would vote for Joe Manchin over this shit. All these other things. And so all I can do is judge him by the relationship that we have now and the expectation that he's provided. And I'm very proud of the fact that, in my own small degree, that I've been able to influence him on the thing that's the most important to me.
Expansion, yes.
Court expansion. That's a big deal because Kyle is an advocate for progressive policy like Medicare for all and getting money out of politics and all these things. And he has repeatedly said, and not to give myself a pat on the back, but it does mean a lot to me. He has repeatedly credited me for influencing him to do this. He agrees that court expansion is the single most important thing. It's more important than Medicare for all and overturning Citizens United and climate change legislation and voting rights expansion and blah, 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 because it's the necessary first step. And that's important to me, not just because he's this random person, but precisely because...
I wonder if Kyle even believes the Supreme Court should exist, or what his ultimate view even is on that. Jesus.
Because he has such a massive platform. And so, and Pisco and I are trying to, get on breaking points to have a conversation with people about, Supreme Court expansion too. And so, I think it's a big deal. And if he violates his commitment, then he will be a fascist enabler by his own standard, and so too would Crystal be if she violated that particular standard. But yeah, so I think the criticism's
I
absurd.
don't even go as far as Josiah. If Wick, for example, if Wick voted for one of these MAGA candidates over DSA, I would probably still do panels with Wick. I mean, what Josiah's doing is almost like
but they would be a lot different. But
that's actually a good point. I honestly, it's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that, and now I need to interrogate why I would hold Kyle to a different standard than Wick, because when you use Wick as an example, I don't know if I would end any association with Wick. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Already running from their position before it's even happened.
Why would? Yeah, wait. I don't even know why there'd be a different standard here. I guess he's saying he doesn't even know why there'd be different. Who knows? Okay.
The standard for associationship is just a different standard than the standard for good actions. And now, obviously, I'm sure that would color what you think of Kyle, and maybe how you interact with Kyle. And you've said as much.
Yeah, well, that's why I said the other part is that it would either end or it would just become more adversarial.
Yeah,
and maybe that's.
But that. Oh my God! Wait. Wasn't Pisco just screaming at the top of his lungs, I don't know what you mean by that, I don't know what you mean by that, I don't know what you mean. And now they're saying, well, I think my relationship should be more adversarial. Isn't that literally what every single person has been saying? And then wow, it's so crazy how quickly they understood that.
Maybe that's how I would square that particular circle, because you're right. Like you said, okay, Josiah, if Wick were a Wisconsin voter, yeah. No, I mean, probably not. My gut instinct is I would just be meaner to him.
No one's saying not go on their shit. It's just have a fucking conversation.
It's just the game that people played with Hassan, where it's oh, well, shouldn't we go on Joe Rogan? Shouldn't we go on Hassan Piker's show? And it's yeah, but there's a difference between going on a show and being buddy-buddy versus going on a show to have a fight. And I don't know why they're pretending to not understand the difference between those two things.
But no, so that's it. So I find the criticism totally unpersuasive. But unlike before, there's such a calmness and certitude to my conviction about this, and I'm not riled up. People who say why did it take him 10 years to figure this out? Okay, so he was a dumb fuck for 10 years, and there were consequences to that. But if I can make room for, and I know some people didn't.
And then again, I don't know where this inability to understand I don't know where this inability. I can't explain this other than bad faith. Like, so we got into this huge fight, and then the guy had a knife, and he was trying to stab me, and I managed to fight him off, and then the knife fell on the ground, and then I picked up the knife, and then the guy was like, "Hold on, I don't think that we should stab each other." Well, I mean, even though he had the position of stabbing before, now he's really like come around to the we shouldn't stab each other position. And so, I have to take him at his word, I think. And it's like, how is this really where we're at right now? Is this like the level of the 50 IQ understandings of these dynamics that we're at? Like, oh, so you're saying that this person, when they felt like they had power, was very eager to exercise it against you. And then in the next election term, when they felt like they didn't have as much power, they very much didn't want anybody to exercise theirs against them. Wow, that's so crazy. That's definitely like a genuine change of position and not just adapting to the changing winds for your political or content creator survival.
Like this comparison, but I think it's apt enough to apply. If I can make room for Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney going from, actively facilitating Trump's first term, and Trump was not a regular Republican president, he was a corrupt authoritarian,
What does that even mean? When they're saying facilitated Trump in his first term, like what are they even saying there? Like that they were just Republicans when Trump was in office, or?
I think so. Maybe like voted for his appointments or like bills that he was spearheading.
I think they literally just say that as like a given, and they don't ever expand on it. I have no idea. This argument is another one. It's like this is strange too, because they managed to roll out. It's like the three same ultra retarded arguments that the first what were all three of these? The first ultra retarded argument is this idea of they keep saying that the left doesn't support our candidates, but the majority of the leftist voters did vote for our candidates. Like we're not talking about the voter. The voters on average will always support, even in Hassan's audience, will always support him. But that's not what we're talking about. And also it would only take a small percentage of the left to not have our candidates elected. 2016 was decided by fucking 15,000 votes or whatever, right? And then what we're talking about is the impact on the media environment, which probably had a much more detrimental impact than just the people who didn't vote. That's the first stupid argument. The second stupid argument was what? Remind me, chat. What was the second stupid argument? Somebody say it. I talked about it. Your face. Oh, good one. Well, now this guy just got banned since you didn't tell me.
in his first. I think it's apt. There were consequences to that. But if I can make room for, and I know some people didn't like this comparison, but I think.
The second stupid one was pretending not to understand what we mean when we say interact with people, where they're like, oh, so we shouldn't go on their shows or whatever. Like not understanding that one over and over again.
I think it's apt enough to apply. But if I can make room for, and I know some people didn't like this comparison, but I think it's apt enough to apply. If I can make room for Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney.
Oh yeah, the Adam and Liz Cheney comparisons over and over again. That like we have the exact same standard for every person that we would consider like, I guess like good in a political sense, because like they bring this up over and over again. Nobody is like Adam Kinzinger is not, and Liz Cheney are not in the coalition. Like, they're not Democrats. We wouldn't expect them to be Democrats. We would never expect them to support the Democratic Party. In an exceptional time in U.S. history, I think we would hope that they would support the anti-Trump, democracy, which I think is what is kind of like at stake here. But they're not Democrats. They're not in the coalition. They're not part of the party.
They just get confused.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it besides like intentional. Like, this is just so dumb. It's such a weird.
We have
it's so
political
weird.
differences, but they don't want the country to be ruined.
Yeah.
Cheney going from, actively facilitating Trump's first term, and Trump was not a regular Republican president. He was a corrupt authoritarian even in his first term. It's not just something that started with the second term. And
what is the earliest like corrupt authoritarian action that we would say Trump took? I think his rhetoric was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But like, were the tax cuts, like, was that an authoritarian move? Him trying to do like the Muslim ban.
The Ukraine shit is crazy.
That's true, yes. But he was impeached for that.
That shit's nuts. Yeah, he was.
Well, actually, I'm curious. Did Adam Kinzinger, I would criticize them if they didn't. Fuck.
They should have voted for impeachment.
Vote on impeachment, Trump, first term, members, Congress. The first vote for impeachment had to do with House impeachment vote, December 2019. All voting Republicans and 2 Democrats voted nay. Oh, so that's not good. I think they should have voted yay there.
Yeah, they should have voted yes.
All voting Republicans and 3 Democrats voted nay on this one as well.
But I'm willing to forgive it, and do you know why?
Well,
because
wait, don't even hold on.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of being willing to forgive it or whatever. They're not on our team. They're not Democrats. I don't have to. There's nothing to forgive, right? They would never be on our team or join our team. They're Republicans who recognize like the threat of the moment. I think they should have voted, or I think they should have voted for impeachment here. But I mean, yeah, what do you want me to say?
Sure. I mean, but they go on to
to make big political
serve
decisions
on the January 6th shit.
that
Yes,
ended their
they ruined
political
their career.
careers. Yeah. I'm curious though for Cheney and for Kinzinger, have either of them stated why they voted no on that? I wonder if they've ever publicly gone on the record about that.
It'd be a cool
Being
question
and
to ask
embedding
him.
and legislating.
Wait, what?
It'd be a cool question to ask him.
Maybe.
Between 90 and 95%, or maybe even higher than that, of his legislative agenda, only to not hold that against them when they decide to say, you know what, I was wrong and I fucked up, and now moving forward, I'm going to try to elect Democrats. If I can do that for actual MAGA legislators, not just commentators, but people who actually had power, like real power, then I can do that with Kyle. And just like with Adam and Liz, as long as they continue to try to get Democrats elected and recognize that Republicans are worse, I can do that with Kyle. And so that's where I am on that.
Thank you for.
So if
the
you
raid.
disagree, if you draw the line differently, that's entirely your prerogative, but I'm unpersuaded by it.
Thank you for the raid, Kai. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Okay, the follow-up from Demiurge says, it just feels like you, as, quote, libs, are chastising other libs. First of all, the scare quotes for the first libs there. I mean, like, do you doubt that we're libs? Do you doubt that Josiah is a liberal? So I don't understand the scare quotes there, what you're implying there. Chastising other libs in the lib spaces, while the leftists see you as sensible libs. It feels like the lefties will not platform your critiques of them. I mean, Josiah just told you, his very first interaction with Kyle and Crystal was with Hutch, specifically debating them on some of these issues, right? It's just not the case.
Yeah, just a few weeks before the election.
When we had Crystal
and that was
Ball
it.
on,
Like we weren't in daily contact after that. Like I think that was we had no contact for months after that. I don't even know if he followed me immediately on Twitter after that point. He was following because I think Hutch was the one who set it up, so he and Hutch were in contact, but not him and I.
And later on, when we had Crystal Ball on Live and Learn for the first time, Hutch was highly critical of Crystal then.
Hutch? Well, Hutch was. Oh my God.
So, like, you can say all this, that they will not platform your critiques of them.
Yes, apparently Lily is voice acting a new hero in Overwatch. There you
go. And maybe they are less inclined to do it than someone like me or someone like Wick, right? I would buy that. But again, that's all consistent with our view. Even if they were not inclined to house our criticism, what should we do then? Should we not ever, like what? Then what, right? Let's say that it were true, that they're completely unwilling to platform our critiques of them. Then what, right? That's what I mean when this is all toothless. It really just seems to be vibes that we want you to be more antagonistic than you are against them currently. And if that's what's being said,
it's not going to happen. Like I just don't see any utility in changing my approach to this. I thought a lot about it.
You're going to want to motivate us, right? If you want us to change, you want to motivate us. You should do this because of that.
Yeah,
but
and I should say, I don't know about you, Pisco, but like what has been directed my way, if that is an attempt at persuasion, I mean, it's just falling on deaf ears. Like literally, you guys are getting blocked left, right, and center. Like, and I'm moving on. So I don't know if you really think that I'm wrong and think that something should change. I would just advise you to try to make an actual persuasive case.
I mean, do you know the dozens of comments that I see? It's like Pisco's bad faith. Pisco's a liar. Pisco's hiding his true power level. Pisco is just doing this for money. I mean, you guys want to convince us, motivate us?
I mean, you're making that argument to some extent, though. I think he even might have even explicitly said, like, well, yeah, of course, it benefits my channel as well. I think he even explicitly said that. But then he also says, like, but it's also for politically efficacious reasons.
To change our criticism stance, how about you actually convince us? Why don't you provide arguments that are sound, that are smart, that are powerful, instead of...
I mean, people have argued, but again, like, these three, they wheel out the same, like, dumb arguments over and over and over again. And I'm pretty sure... Was I on a show, or was I listening to him discuss, like, the Kinzinger-Cheney comparison? Like, these guys are not on our team. They're not Democrats. I don't know why you're saying if there's room for Adam and Liz, then there's room for Kyle Galitsky and Crystal Ball, who are like enemies to the Democratic Party. But okay.
Josiah's always going to fall back, and respectfully, I love Josiah, but he's always going to fall back on, well, I trust Kyle. Kyle said that he's sorry and whatnot. And you can't defeat that argument. It's just he's stuck there. That's
well, and the fact that, like, and I don't know if this is as true for Kyle as much. I'd have to check. I know he's obsessed with the fucking Israel Jew shit, but like Crystal is openly hostile and insanely antagonistic towards the Democratic Party as an establishment. Like her interviews are insane. I don't know if I've seen Kyle give interviews as fucking crazy as what
not
Crystal
interviews,
does.
But he calls like the Dems like MAGA light in every fucking episode recently. So like, yeah, I mean, it's just I don't put him in the party. They're pundits who just shit on the party.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys are just sweeping. That is like lazy, and it's not anything that we can actualize. So try to motivate us, huh?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not seeing the comments because of all the muting and the blocking, which
more
I
than that,
find
they're like,
is very peaceful. But
Pisco should be kicked off, live and learn. He's an enemy. He should be kicked off the, like, it's, think about it. Now, I don't always talk about, like, who the fuck cares? Like, you guys are stupid. And, like, I don't really give a fuck. But if you're trying to motivate people, that's not really convincing. It kind of sounds like you guys are, like, being bad faith. And instead of providing some, like, good rationale about how we're failing some standard, you just get angry. And, yeah, that's not going to convince us, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand people getting frustrated when, content, like I used to, like, believe it or not, like, unironically and not at all condescendingly or patronizingly, like, I get it. I used to get frustrated when, content creators, like, even, again, I use the example, I used to get so frustrated with Hutch because I felt that he was too focused on the left and I felt that he should join me being focused on the right. But I just come to accept that not only will that not change, but he has a logic to it. It's not one that I share. And, that focus has its place. There are all types of diseases in this world, and we have specialists and researchers for various things. Some diseases are more dangerous and prevalent than others. I think that's what I'm focused on, like, metastatic cancer, stage 3 or something like that, lung cancer. And, Hutch and others are focused on another illness that I don't find nearly as common or nearly as dangerous, but somebody's got to do it. And so,
wait, I'm sorry. I just went to check. Wait, what do we call when we're fear mongering right now about the DSA stuff? What do we call them, Mr. Mooten?
I don't know.
What do we say the DSA people? What do we call them? The DSA people? What do we think they are?
Tankies, ops, socialists.
When we compare them to Republicans.
Oh, Blue MAGA.
Yeah? One more? Fuck you, you're fucking my shit up.
I don't know, man.
The fucking, the Tea Party. They're like our Tea Party QAnon or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just curious if Kalkulins get any recent videos talking about Democrat people, and I just checked. Wait, oh my god, hold on, fuck, am I getting different titles on both computers?
That would be, oh, you probably are. That sometimes happens.
22 hours ago. Oh, damn, never mind, he just puts out so many videos, I didn't realize. Abdul wins by single point as left-wing Tea Party surges.
Oh my god.
King.
So I'm going to stay focused on what I want to focus on. And, to the extent that upsets people, they're entitled to their opinion. And if they deliver it in a hostile way, odds are I'm just not only not going to engage, but I'm going to get muted and blocked. So there's this like,
damn,
shoot shot thing, make it count. But no, but like I said, it's been very peaceful. And I'm very happy with the fact that Abdul has won. And that Jocelyn Benson won too. Like we don't talk enough about the fact that like Whitmer, of course, is term limited. So she's on her way out. Benson is a real pro-democracy person. As Secretary of State, she has repeatedly resisted Trump's efforts to rig elections and get voter rolls and to steal elections and all this shit. I'm pretty sure she was involved in the effort to get him thrown off the ballot in the Section 3 14th Amendment cases. Like, so she has been very vigorous in her, like, this is not a Jared Polis thing. You know what I'm saying? So like we did very well in the gubernatorial primary. By the way,
just to throw that out there, I would endorse Jared Polis against the MAGA opposition, and I fucking despise Jared Polis. Just to put that out there. I don't know, before you got on, I endorsed Marie Glueson-Perez, who I think has been too.
Oh my God, you've been very critical of her. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
And they should, by the way, the Wesley Bell, the Cori Bush versus Wesley Bell. They should endorse Wesley Bell too. And if I ever have the opportunity, I'll push that. I'll be like, you guys will endorse Bell, right?
Dude, it's funny because while I was
somebody should ask Pisco, would you endorse Polis over a never Trumper Republican? Because that seems to be weird. Like, our big complaint about Polis is that Polis fucking signed off on Trump's Tina Peters pardon. So if you had a never Trumper, which was insane, if you had a never Trumper Republican running against Polis who says he wouldn't do a thing like that, would you support Polis still? Like, what are we even doing at this point? Like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what kind of political conversation we're even having right now.
While I was watching my wife's game, I was listening to I had John Fetterman on Jon Stewart. I was listening to that, and that was painful at various points.
I didn't watch it.
Fetterman actually communicated better than what I thought he would, just given this rope. He was more lucid at points, but when he was not lucid, it was really, really painful. It was really awkward. But what was interesting was you talking about Marie Glueson-Perez. It occurred to me at the very end of the conversation where John's having a postmortem with his producers. His producer, I mean, again, Jon Stewart's at least a social democrat, right? He is at least a social democrat and was advocating for social democratic policies. But his producer was like, I gotta give Fetterman. She's like, I gotta give Fetterman. What she say? Not his flowers, but like he was right about one thing. When he says that he votes for Democrats 90% of the time, she's like, that's 100% true. And she said, I was looking at his record here, and he doesn't vote for the biggest like Trump policy initiatives or whatever. He just occasionally like greases the wheels for certain abuses of power and like the Iran war and whatever. And she said, so as much as I'm frustrated with Fetterman, I gotta say it's better than a Republican. His war, his wins above replacement. She's like, it's like baseball. He having him in that seat is much better than having a Republican. And Jon Stewart agreed. And so it's funny because I was thinking like that's such a Hutch Laksha, because that's the term that Laksha uses for split ticket, the argument or whatever, war wins above replacement. But here it is on Jon Stewart, who is not a neo-lib or anything like that. He's at least a social democrat, and he just went through an hour-and-a-half struggle session with John Fetterman where it got fairly heated at times, particularly over Israel. And they all agreed, like. And it reminded me, because I used to say, man, I would back Fetterman over a Republican, but like I haven't thought that as enthusiastically over the past several months. But hearing it from one of Jon Stewart's, lefty producers, I was like, oh yeah, I am reminded of the fact that I would pull the lever for John Fetterman over fucking Dave McCormick.
And just look, the best example of this is what happens with Todd Blanche. I don't know if you guys saw, but there was this whole hubbubaloo.
He talked about that, by the way. I'm sorry, just real quick. He talked about that he's not going to vote for Todd Blanche, and that's unacceptable.
Because he did vote for Bondi.
Right.
I mean, that's good at least.
Yep.
But like, look at this like shell game that the Republicans played with Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche, need I say more? The weaponization fund, the rent.
Wait, is this on streaming right now?
It's a lot, especially in the aftermath of this race. Most Democratic Party politicians do not assume
5
positions
hours ago.
that they
Fuck.
believe.
I really am curious if somebody else is tweeting from his account for this. He greases up the people that he feels like are supportive of his viewpoint. So he's in every single person that I'm peripherally related to. He's in all of their Twitter mentions. It's crazy. He's in all of their Twitter mentions.
Rampant corruption in the Department of Justice, the bullshit indictments that we're seeing from the Department of Justice, all that stuff. And John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, right? They play this game. Oh, we need you to disavow this corrupt, basically slush fund, and we need you to make it so it's irreversible. And Blanche puts out this memo, this order, which does nothing of the sort. All it does is basically anticipatorily repudiate an executed contract. What you need, right, is Trump to sign off on it. What you need is Trump to disclaim it, for Trump to disavow it and repudiate it. And they have this whole dog and pony show as though that's really convincing. Oh yeah, now you've done enough. And Susan Collins comes out and says, I'm voting my conscience, because they know they have the votes in the Senate. It's all a game.
Yeah,
like, I would vote for Fetterman over Collins. I mean, these people are demons.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, just Collins is desperately trying to work the math to get Blanche confirmed while also having the plausible deniability of saying that she voted against him. And I just don't think anybody's buying it. That's one iconic line from Graham Plattner back when he was running the campaign. Something like, like Susan Collins, like the only time she stands up to Trump is when she knows that Trump doesn't need her help or something like that. Yeah. But no, so anyway, that's it. So, again, I popped in because you asked me to, but I'm definitely taking a big step back, like moving forward from online streaming and stuff like that. Like, this is a chill exception because it's not a debate, but like moving forward, I'm going to stick to this pretty religiously because I've found like a sense of like.
I feel like every single time, unless I'm missing moments where it's happened and it just wasn't reported to me, but I feel like every single time Josiah said he has to take a major step back, it's because of like him having to push against anything on the left. And he's like, okay, I can't do this. I gotta take a huge step back. Ugh.
Okay, my peers in the space, unless you're a streamer, you just lock in and do your thing, because I just don't think there's a way, to be married and have a fitness life and a social life and to do the workload that I have and to do the other cool shit that I want to do, which is like argue with you guys until 3 in the morning. I just can't do it. So definitely, like, you'll still see super chats and whatever, but yeah, this is me signing off from streaming.
I'm here as your crack.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Whenever
you
you
and
need
Hunter are my dealers.
Yeah, whenever you need it, whenever you need to hit, you just let us know. Yeah. But yes, we appreciate you, and it's sad to see you take a little bit of a step back. But the chair is always open for you, Josiah, if you change your mind.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, but the truth is, I just want to be clear. Like, it really needed to happen, even despite like the recent drama. Like, that's the reason I stepped away from Live and Learn in the first place, right? Is like it's just the cup runneth over. And so, like I said, I've got an editor starting full time on Monday, and we're gonna, not only just supercharge Facebook, but blow the dust off Substack and TikTok and everything else. So, I'm gonna try to like expand the operation the way that Mockler and Beasley and the others have done, because I've just been a YouTube workhorse. So, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, I was gonna say, like, you guys who IRI and you and not so much Hutch, obviously, because he's the people who are kind of throwing shit this way. Hutch is obviously not getting as much of it.
I don't know why, based on last fucking episode, because he was aligned with us on the major issues.
But to the extent that you guys have to deal with this, I mean, good luck. I think nothing can crack IRI's optimism. That guy is just like, he is unshakable. Yeah. There's a zen-like quality to him, which I really appreciate. But yeah, buddy, it's good chatting with you.
Love you, dog. Excited to see you
again.
again.
By the way,
yeah.
Oh, and the other thing is, your internet. When
right now it seems good.
So you could do like Zoom collaborations, like, because you know, I was trying to get somebody in on the Todd Blanche thing. It's too late now because it's been too many days. And I think I've explained it sufficiently. But like, you are still in a position, like you have stable enough internet to do the
calls,
Zoom collaborations.
Yeah,
right?
the Zoom collaborations are all good. That's all fine. It's right now. It seems to be good. I adjusted the setting to slightly increase the bit rate, and that seems to maybe it was too low of a bit rate, but it seems to be good right now in terms of the streaming. But I'm good on the Zoom calls whenever, and I'll adjust the camera so I can be like looking at it, and it's not as jarring.
Perfect. All right, buddy.
All right, brother.
I'll be listening. I'll be super chatting. I'll talk to you later.
Stay cool. Later.
See you, buddy. Bye.
What a good guy, huh? What a good guy. Now you might think that I'm addicted to coffee, and you know what?
Do you think it's intentional that Hassan replies to her instead of quote tweeting them? Yeah, because I think he's trying to quote tweeting somebody is like blowing them up, but like replying is more of a like I'm kind of in here and I'm subtly signaling to people to come in and kind of look nice or whatever. Yeah, I see you basically. Whereas when you quote tweet them, it's because you're going to war with them. Like look at how Hassan treats Hutch compared to any of the other people on Live and Learn. And the Live and Learn people will always be too scared to like really fight that much against it. Maybe Soy Pill a little bit more. IRA's not really involved in this stuff. And then Pisco, obviously, you know, one of much to say, but it's just such an effective means of harassing and brigading and bullying people into your political camp. So